In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. George Orwell. Yeah. This is Blood Politics. The only podcast where we don't talk about politics. We be about politics. And our mission statement is to empower, educate, and encourage everyone to speak out against fascism. Speak out against injustice. And fight for freedom and equality for everyone. This is Blood Politics. And we ain't stopping till they put us in the grave. We ain't gonna be quiet. And we ain't gonna be scared. And we ain't gonna go along with the crowd. This is Blood Politics. And it ain't about left or right. It ain't about Dem or Republican. It's about right and wrong. It's about us versus.
All right, we're just going to hop right into it because we got a lot to talk about, a lot to get to, and there's not a moment to waste. What's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing? Hope you're well. Hope you're well. Thank you for joining me once again. Appreciate you for making it through another week. Happy Friday to everybody. Hit that like button as you filter in. Subscribe to the channel if you want to wait a little bit, kind of see what you're watching, see what you're listening to, and then you can subscribe. That would be fantastic as well. But as everybody's kind of filtering here on this beautiful Friday, what do you say we say hi to the lovely chat? What's going on, guys? What's happening, everybody? Appreciate you and everything that you do. There you are. What's going on, Jay? What's going on, Mr. Foss? What's up, Yakov? Forever Young. What's going on, Albert? I see you over there on Facebook, my friend. I see everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, and hopefully on Substack if I did everything correctly. There's a slim to none chance that I did everything correctly, so I'm just kind of praying here. We're just kind of keeping our fingers crossed as far as Substack is concerned. But what's going on, peeps? What's happening? What's up, Teague? How are you? Thank you to everybody that showed up last night for the Patreon meetup. Very lovely to see everybody. Thank you to everybody that continues to support this channel. I really do appreciate it. We're actually kind of in the midst here of going through like a Patreon revamp, as it were. I know there's a lot of stuff on there that's kind of outdated, which is why I appreciate you guys even more. I know a lot has changed since we originally put up the Patreon and the levels and stuff like that. So we're going to be going through it. We're going to be giving people, discounts to the new merch shop. So that's going to be another thing. We're going to figure out, different little gifts and stuff and, different ways in which you can entice you into supporting the show. Because, again, as we don't hide anything behind a paywall, we don't charge you for any content. You don't have to pay for the Substack. It kind of limits the amount of, kind of things I can entice you with, really, trying to do it the right way, just with your generosity and you guys finding value in the show. So again, if you guys think about it, if you're in there, if you find it within your financial limitations to do so, think about supporting the show. You can do it through Venmo. You can sign up just underneath me for a YouTube membership, or again, like we're discussing, you can head over to patreon.com and check that out. And thank you to everybody again for showing up last night. What's going on there, Tamara? How are you? What's going on, Carol? What's going on, Deb? What's up, Sammy? How are you? Hey, Roxanne. Hey, Madeline. How are you? Good to see you. What's up, Triplia? What's up, Tina? What's going on, everybody? Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, whether it's a bit or a thumbs up or a like, whatever they call it on the respective platform that you're watching on. Make sure you're helping us out because it is March 27th, I should say, Friday, March 27th. And like I said, we got a ton to talk about. We'll be talking about the No Kings tomorrow as well. I'll be in Boston. I don't know who's going to be in and around the Boston area for the No Kings tomorrow, but hopefully if you are, we run into each other. The Dropkick Murphys are going to be performing as well, so that's going to be cool. Hopefully I can maybe get you guys with like a live update or say hi to you guys at some point during the day tomorrow. Once again, it's supposed to be freezing, but that's just New England. We're back in it anyway. So we'll be talking about that. A little show note for this evening as well before we get into what we're talking about today. I'll be on with Tara Devlin tonight, I think 8:30 p.m. on her channel. I think it's Tara Busters, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me in the chat if I'm wrong on that one. But yeah, I'll be live on Tara's channel tonight at 8:30. So, if you're around, if you got the time, if you want to pop in, say hello, that would be fantastic. But we're also going to get to, obviously, the ongoing story of the 10,000 or so troops that the Pentagon is supposedly thinking about sending into Iran. We've talked about this for the last few days into, whether it's going to be Kharg Island or if it's going to be the islands in and around the Strait of Hormuz or both. So we have a couple videos that we're going to be diving into that kind of give somewhat differing, altering perspectives on this. We have one from Preston Stewart that kind of details this and kind of details the disaster that it could be. And then we have one from The Sun who gives it more of a, not a glowing review, but gives it more of a chance to succeed. Then again, we would kind of give it, or I think Preston gives it in his video. So we'll be looking at that. We'll be talking about the, Jesus Christ, that the only way to make the dollar more worthless is to put Donald Trump's signature on it. We don't have to dive too much into that. And one of those ridiculous stories that, just pisses you off. And we got bigger fish to fry at this moment, but we're also going to be talking about how the Iranians have blocked the Chinese ships going through the Strait of Hormuz, which has caused a little bit of instability, a little bit more instability in the market as that's concerned. We got videos from Simon Marks and James O'Brien over on LBC. We also got some Greg Kelly to rip into. We got a ton to look at today. So we also have a video that Iran released of Trump. I don't know if you guys have seen it yet. We're going to save that for a little bit, though, because boy, is that a doozy. Holy shit. You thought that the White House was putting out that like ridiculous propaganda, like the strikes with the bowling and all that shit. Like, wait till you get a load of this one. Wait till you get a load of this one. The fucking the level, the bar has just been raised apparently by the Iranians. And again, I don't know where exactly it came from. So, take it with a grain of salt. But if it did come from the Iranian regime, the bar has been raised as far as the propaganda is concerned. So, all right. Thank you to the chat. I very much appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for your assistance, your help, your cooperation, your aggression, your persistence. That's the only reason we continue to do this is because you guys make it possible. So again, huge shout out to you guys. Huge shout out to the mods for making this a possibility as well, keeping that chat a safe place, but making sure that people can still engage in, a heated debate without fear of getting removed. So thank you to everybody. What do you say we get into a few of the stories we'll be talking about today? What did I want to look at first? Honestly, there's so much that I have pulled up, so much that you have to go over in the show that it's almost like by the time you get to the show, you don't know what the first few things that you pulled up were. So this is, I think I just wanted to throw this is kind of just a quick example here, a 30-second example of how demented, deluded, out of touch, maniacal, genocidal, careless, inhumane the current president of the United States is. Again, a quick 30-second clip, so hold your lunch. Not going to be too much. Let me throw the chat back there. Appreciate you guys. Throw this up on the screen. This is just a really quick from Fox News on with Donald Trump. Donald Trump called in, and Dana Perino, I think that's her name. Forgive me if I'm wrong. But she asked Donald Trump a pretty specific question about the humanity side of what's taking place. She's asking, what are the Iranian people doing? How are the Iranian people doing? Do they have food? Do they have drinking water? Like, what's going on there? And then listen to Donald Trump's response to that question. Again, the guy that has undertaken these bombings, the guy responsible for the war crimes of hitting the schools, the hospitals, you name it, right? And we continue it to escalate this day after day. This same guy listens to how he answers this question. Again, if this isn't a clear indication of how, again, demented, just absolutely genocidal and careless this guy is as far as the human lives that are being lost in this war that he and Benjamin Netanyahu and fucking Jared Kushner started to keep their names out of the headlines as far as the Donald Trump files that have a couple mentions of Jeffrey Epstein every now and again. So, again, this is just real quick, 30 seconds. Listen to Donald Trump's response. Again, when asked, I don't know why Dane is asking this. Like, we're supposed to think that Fox News in any way gives a flying fuckity about the Iranian people and whether or not they have food and water. Again, this must have been thrown in there. Someone by a car. I don't know what the fuck happened. This one slipped through the cracks as far as the Fox News producers are concerned. But listen to Donald Trump's response in this.
Do you have any insight as to how they are doing? Do they have drinking water? Do they have food?
Right, I do.
It's upsetting.
I do. But first, you remember when we had lunch years ago in the base of Trump Tower when it was a brand new building?
It's a long time ago, yes.
A long time ago, and you haven't changed.
Oh.
You have not changed. Now, I'm not allowed to say this. It's the end of my political career, but you may be even better looking, okay? So I don't know what you're doing. But I will not say that.
Makeup has a lot.
So right on to the sexual harassment, right on to being an absolute fucking just a despicable old man, right? Couldn't even get to the question, couldn't even get an answer out to the question there about what's going on with the Iranian. He couldn't give a flying fuck less, bro. He could not give a flying fuck less how the people are doing. The same people he asked to pick up arms and storm the government buildings and take over their fucking regime and, turn it like this is like, again, a clear-cut 30-second example that you probably don't need any more evidence to add on to show somebody like just how sick and gross this guy is. And again, how demented, like all of the things that we could talk about as far as what this guy is, he is. Like he shows in this one clip. Like just the inhumanity, the total care, the total lack of care for anybody involved in this, not only our soldiers, but also the civilians that are currently being taken out by the different actions happening in the different theaters now. I mean, it's just fucking, again, it's just one of those things where you don't need to hear too much of it. And again, you probably don't need to show anything else. If everybody's like still questioning around you, hey, do you really think that Donald Trump's demented? Do you really think he doesn't care about human life? Yeah, show this clip and it should probably, get your point across pretty well in that regard. But, just another despicable moment from that son of a bitch. Add on to the thousands, if not tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of those that we've racked up over the fucking years from that fucking demented fool. All right, so again, this is what everybody's talking about. Let me throw this on the screen. Not that one, this one. This is put out by Axios. Obviously, it's been reported widely, but the Pentagon wing sending 10,000 more combat troops to the Middle East. Something, again, we've been talking about and speculating on for the last few days here on kind of what the intent would be, what the goal would be, and kind of what the secondary actions would have to be in order to make this even a viable action by the U.S. military. So again, we have a couple of videos to follow up on this reporting here. One by Preston Stewart, who kind of lays out kind of how this might be a disastrous kind of undertaking, and then we got one by the more right-wing, the more right-leaning Sun, where they kind of detail this as something that probably wouldn't be an issue and something that may actually take down the Iranian regime. So again, two kind of differing opinions, and we'll see which one we can kind of take the tooth from, really. But this is the reporting here. The White House and the Pentagon are considering sending at least 10,000 additional combat troops to the Middle East in the coming days, according to a senior U.S. defense official. If the Trump administration decides to send extra troops, it will significantly increase the number of combat soldiers that the U.S. has in the region. It is another signal that the U.S. ground operation in Iran is being seriously prepared. The massive surge in ground troops is being considered as President Trump says the U.S. is negotiating with himself, for fuck's sakes. That's the moment that we're in right now. We actually have a president that is currently not only negotiating with himself, but he's actually losing the negotiation with himself. Okay. Donald Trump has gone from, okay, we're gonna hit you guys in 48 hours. Okay, it's not going to be 48 hours because we've done this, that, or the other thing. It's going to be 5 days. We're going to give you 5 days. Okay, not going to give you 5 days because we've had really good talks. Can't tell you who the talks are from, but they've given us really good presents, right? Can't tell you who they're from, but they don't want us to tell you because they're afraid that Israel's going to kill them, or they're afraid that we're going to kill them while we're in negotiations with them, apparently. But no, so the 5 days obviously went by the wayside. Now it's 10 days. Okay, so now he's fucking negotiating with himself against himself and losing the negotiation. Like, this is the guy that supposedly was responsible for the art of the deal. This motherfucker. Again, I repeat, he's negotiating with himself. Okay, he says he's having really good talks. The other side says, I don't know what the fuck this guy's talking about. You know what I mean? Like, that's the situation that we're in. That's what's happening and taking place. And it's ridiculous, I understand. But he continues to push this back, and again, whether it's market manipulation, whether it's for his buddies to make billions behind the scenes because of the fluctuations in the stock market, or again, it's just to keep his ass out of hot water and to some degree, whatever the fuck it is. Like, he's literally negotiating with himself and losing the battle. There's really no other way to put it. And again, this goes on. The Wall Street Journal first reported that the Trump administration is considering sending the reinforcements. The Pentagon is developing military options for a final blow. We talked about that yesterday in Iran that could include the use of ground forces in a massive bombing campaign, Axios reported. And again, this goes on to talk about the command element of the 82nd and the people that are in the area. But, as we talked about, what would what's the goal? What's the intent? What's the purpose? What's the secondary actions that would need to happen? Because if you take Kharg Island, is that necessarily just to kind of put the stranglehold on the oil exports for Iran to hurt them militarily? Because that would be kind of like a slow roll, I would imagine. I don't think that would be something really rapid considering the amount of stuff that they can produce and put underground. But again, there's a story. Here's a video here by Preston Stewart that I want to throw on for you, where he kind of details and he talks about this as being somewhat of a trap. He calls this the Kharg Island trap. And again, yesterday, I think I talked about how it makes more sense militarily to me. It makes more sense just strategically to me that they would go for the islands in and around the Strait of Hormuz, considering that is the number one issue That is what is, affecting the most pressure on the world economy. That's what's causing us the most pain and putting the most pressure on this regime. The regime being the United States regime, of course. So again, he's talking about this as a plan that could backfire. And again, this is at a moment, not just, before we dive into that, this is at a moment where we are getting this reporting at the same time. This is a Reuters article here. This is by Ground News. I didn't have for some reason they were charging me for the Reuters to see that. They kind of give a little bit more information here on Ground News. So it says U.S. can only confirm about a third of Iran's missile arsenal destroyed. Well, that doesn't sound to me like what Pete Hegseth has said. That doesn't sound to me like what Donald Trump has been saying since the fucking first day of this fucking war. They've been telling me that they have no military capabilities. They've been telling me that they're literally walking backwards in the sky with these F-15s looking for targets because they can't even find any because they've hit so many, right? Like, there's just no way. They've taken out the Navy. They've taken out the Air Force. They've taken out the missile sites. They've taken out the fucking leadership. There's just no military capability whatsoever, even though we continue to show you guys footage here of missiles going into Israel, missiles going into UAE, missiles going into Dubai, missiles going into U.S. bases, drones flying over U.S. bases, right? The control that Iran still has on the Strait of Hormuz. But this goes in and talks about how the U.S. intelligence estimates that only about a third of Iran's missile arsenal has been destroyed, with another third likely damaged or buried in underground bunkers, according to 5 people familiar with the assessment. Since February 28th, the start of Operation Epstein Fury, U.S. and Israeli forces have struck more than 10,000 Israeli military targets and sunk 92% of the Iranian Navy's large vessels. Despite the campaign's intensity, Iranian forces fired 15 ballistic missiles at the United Arab Emirates on Thursday, along with 11 drones, and last week targeted the U.S. and U.K. military base Diego Garcia, which again they denied any involvement in, which we reported here. President Donald Trump claimed on Thursday that Iran had very few rockets left, yet somebody in their team said Iran missile experts at Sciences of Po University argues that Tehran still retains about 30% of its missile capabilities. Pete Hegseth acknowledged Iran's tunnel challenge on March 19th, while a senior U.S. official expressed skepticism about the United States' ability to accurately assess Iran. So again, this is not what we've been hearing from Pete Hegseth. This is not what we've been hearing from Donald Trump when they get in front of cameras, when they get in front of a microphone, when they want to make it seem like this war has been over, when they're already claiming victory. It's been over since the first bomb was dropped, right? Even though, again, they didn't see any of the retaliation coming. They didn't see the stranglehold on the Strait of Hormuz coming. They didn't see Iran lobbing missiles into U.S. bases. They didn't see the retaliation against, the allies in the area that allowed those U.S. bases to happen on their country, on their soil. Like, all of that was news to this Trump regime, right? They didn't think any of that was going to happen because the regime was going to collapse or capitulate as soon as that first bomb was dropped. Again, it's remarkable to me, not only what is either the lack of planning or, again, the absolute stupidity of the planning that went into this, right? Where you were just so brazen, right? And you were so fucking confident in your absolutely nothingness, right? Like the zero intelligence that told you to go that way or that would happen. As a matter of fact, all the war games and experts said exactly what we've seen take place is what would take place, probably because the Iranian regime said that's exactly what would take place. But again, let me throw this on here. This is Preston Stewart just kind of detailing how this whole thing could be a disaster. And then we'll go on and show the next one from the Sun here, who kind of talks about how this could be the final blow to end the Iran war. You can see how the two kind of differ in their opinion. So, all right, let me throw this on. We'll go through a few minutes of this and see what you guys think. And then we'll hop on to the next one. And you guys can let me know in the chat what you guys really what I should do is probably put that back on. And here we go.
All right, what's going on, everyone? So pretty hectic day, all things considered, when looking at the war in Iran. We've got a couple things worth getting into here. First off, we've got new reporting that President Trump believes a ground operation in Iran, specifically on one of the islands in the Persian Gulf, could be enough to shock the Iranian regime into surrendering. Now, that, of course...
And again, this is the same guy that believed that they were going to capitulate in the first day. That is was utterly bewildered, shocked to his core that the fucking Iranians retaliated in the way they have, with the Strait of Hormuz. Like, this guy was just, he couldn't even believe it. It was the last thing anybody ever told him could happen. No military experts that he had in his surroundings told him that could be a possibility, right? That's what Donald Trump thinks. So again, that's his opinion So maybe you want to take that with like the world's largest grain of salt. I don't know. Just seems smart to me.
As a number of U.S. forces continue to move into the region, with the first group of Marines arriving today, tomorrow, Saturday, sometime in the next couple of days. We also
and
have,
yeah, again, I should say, like, both of these videos talk about how this could be happening, as soon as today into this weekend. So again, both of these videos, as far as they differ, opinion wise on kind of what the outcome might be, the timeline seems to kind of match up as far as when they suspect or when they've heard this kind of, might kick off.
A very hawkish organization, Foundations for Defensive Democracies, looking at that plan to take Kharg Island and saying, Mr. President, please don't do that. They argue that it could get the United States in over our head, be walking into a trap that we don't want to be a part of. And then finally, President Trump said that talks are going well with the Iranian regime right now.
With himself.
He has postponed strikes against the Iranian energy infrastructure for 10 more days. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, of course, every one of these articles will be linked in the description below. We're starting out with a report in the Times of Israel, where they say an official from one of the countries mediating between the United States and Iran tells the Times of Israel that President Trump appears to be leaning towards a U.S. ground operation, with Washington convinced that Tehran will buckle under such military pressure. They say the official says the U.S. privately recognizes that Iran is not likely to agree to the concessions presented in Washington's 15-point plan, and has dispatched thousands of troops to the region in order to capture Tehran's Kharg Island on Trump's orders. We're going to go to a map here real quick to talk about where it is. This is getting all the focus right now. Oil Island, Kharg Island, Kharg, here in the northern portion of the Persian Gulf. This island is what all of a sudden, like the talking heads on all the news outlets have been saying, this is the thing. This is what we have to take. You do this and we win the war. Senator Lindsey Graham has talked about that. I think General Kellogg even talked about that a couple days ago. This is where 90% of Iranian oil exports move through. So yes, it would be a problem for Iran losing this. Personal assessment is I think we are overestimating what taking this island would do to the negotiating position within the regime. And I don't think I'm alone in that assessment. A lot of the analysts we've looked at and have quoted in recent days, to include senior former officials.
And again, these are assessments coming from the same people that thought if we just kind of struck them on the first day that they were going to capitulate, and none of this was going to happen. They weren't going to send any missiles or drones into our U.S. bases. They weren't going to send any missile or drones into Dubai. They weren't going to send any missile or drones into the surrounding areas that were, that had U.S. bases on them. They were never going to do any of that. This is the same team, the same people that came to that assessment, apparently, allegedly. Like, that's the only thing that you can convert. Like, that's the only thing that we can look at right now. The situation that we're in, that's what tells us they had absolutely no plan whatsoever to mitigate this risk. They had no plan whatsoever to make sure that this didn't happen beforehand, before they undertook the strikes. Right? They've been on the back foot. They've been scrambling behind the scenes to do this, that, and the other thing, allowing Iran to sell oil, allowing Russia to sell oil, doing everything possible to keep the fucking price down so that the world doesn't completely fucking, unravel. You know what I mean? Like, so you can tell that they didn't have this plan. They didn't have an A, B, C. They didn't have an escape route. They didn't have, okay, what happens if this takes place? We got to make sure that this happens. None of that shit was looked at. None of that shit was talked about, apparently. That's the only conclusion we can come to based on the outcome, based on the situation that we're in right fucking now. Right. So again, the fact that they're going to take this island, what is the secondary action? Right. Like, how is this going to help us with the Strait of Hormuz? I don't know. Like, because the ships that would have to get to this island would still have to sail through the Strait of Hormuz, thus putting themselves at danger. Right. Like, this would have to be resupplied constantly, thus making the ships or resupplies or airplanes or helicopters. And again, the way that the Sun talks about this, it kind of goes with the line of thinking from Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump when I play the video next, based on the fact that the Iranians have no military capabilities whatsoever. Like, he's talking about flying low, slow helicopters into Kharg. Like, I just don't know what this guy's thinking. We're still getting reports, credible reports that Iran still has, ground to air missiles that are being utilized, and they're being effective to whatever extent. Like, they've still managed to return home from in a couple of these cases, but still the fact that they were targeted, located, and struck is not a fucking good look. And again, as we get the reporting that the United States has only been really been able to credibly confirm about a third of Iranians' missiles either have been that have been credibly destroyed, that they can confirm destroyed, they're kind of suspecting that a lot more have been damaged, and then a lot more are underground. But again, that's not what we've been hearing from our, regime here in the United States. We've been hearing they have no capabilities left. They have no ability to strike back. We're just kind of flying planes willy-nilly around there. And again, to a large extent, I'm sure they absolutely do have air superiority and are able to fly to a large extent wherever they want. But that doesn't mean at some periods, at some point in time, they're not being targeted and, again, effectively hit, as we've seen reported in the news lately. So, again, does this mean, and I think the Sun video also kind of talks about how there might be a feint attack. So they might make it seem like they're going and taking Kharg Island, but they might, in fact, go towards some of the islands in and around the Strait of Hormuz, which, again, I thought would make more military sense, considering that's kind of the main sticking point. That's kind of the main focus right now. Again, we're now trying to mitigate all of Donald Trump's problems that he created himself, right? Like in every one of these situations that you can look at, we're trying to solve problems here that we created ourselves with the help of Israel. It's fucking crazy.
CENTCOM, General Votel, in a video earlier today, they look at this and say, yes, we can, but to what end? What exactly are we going to accomplish? And we've talked through the challenges of, yes.
I always feel bad that I'm covering him while he's talking. I know you guys can hear him, but I kind of feel bad that I'm always covering him. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do it like that. But I feel bad because on the vertical, it's like ridiculous looking. What about if I do, is there another view that I could do like that maybe? How's that? Is that okay? That's a little better. We can handle that for a couple minutes again. We don't have to suffer through that for too long. I feel bad that I'm always covering his face. We use his reporting a lot. I love his videos, and I feel like I should give him more FaceTime. You know what I mean? All right, here we go. My apologies.
U.S. can put forces on Kharg Island. Yes, we can take over that island. We could have persistent air coverage overhead. That's something our military is capable of doing. But does it link up with operational or strategic objectives? And the interesting aspect from FDD, Foundation for Defense of Democracies, is the points that they argue is not just that it wouldn't be a good trade-off, but that it would actually be a trap that the United States is walking into. Again, pretty notable. FDD is an very hawkish.
And again, that's what we were talking about as well. Like one would have to suspect either booby traps or, again, some sort of scorched earth policy where the Iranians, before they would allow the propaganda victory, or again, the benefit to the United States of getting the oil, whatever leaves there, I would suspect that they'd probably just lob a couple drones, a couple missiles. They'd take it out themselves, and then they'd just kind of deal with the repercussions after. Like they're in this position where they have to continue with this, or else, it's going to make them look even weaker, and it's going to make it seem like anybody could try this. You know what I mean? We talked about this the other day on the show. But, what are the secondary impacts? What are, like, the secondary steps to this? What does this mean as far as, helping the Strait of Hormuz? If we were to take this island, are we just hoping to, again, take out the use in their ability to sell the oil or get their oil out, and hopefully that at some point strangles their ability to conduct the war? But again, that seems like they already have a ton of these drones and missiles already made. Like, again, how long that takes, this seems to be, no matter which way we look at it, a clear escalation, obviously, and that would prolong whatever conflicts are now going on, this war that's now taking place, obviously, and then it would make it so that the U.S. service members that are in the area or undertaking,
I would argue,
that are now undertaking these missions, the Marines, the 82nd Airborne, that would be taking these islands or, island or whatever, whichever they decide or whichever they do, that would obviously put them in clear and present danger as well because of the drone threat, again, which is something that the Sun seems to totally forget about or just totally not take into account, which is kind of strange. So there's a few moments we got to call out in that one as well. But just a few more, I think another minute or so of this, and then we'll dive onto that one. I appreciate you guys. Make sure you hit that like button, all right? Thank you, guys.
Have been advocating for some sort of regime change war with Iran for a long time. So for them to come out and look at this and say, hey, let's be careful, I think it's the type of thing that deserves some attention. In their article titled, Why Seizing Iran's Kharg Island Could Be a Trap of America's Own Making, they say Trump has potentially set his sights on seizing Iran's Kharg Island, Iran's vital oil export hub, in hopes of securing a quick opening to the strait and a decisive end to the conflict. To back out real quick, this is another one where it's not clear. We're kind of conflating taking this island with the opening.
And again, he makes similar points here where it's kind of confusing to him as well, where it's like, what does that necessarily have to do with opening up the strait and making sure that choke point is opened up, which again has been the main focus, the main choke point that has been putting the vast amount of pressure on the world economy, affecting the oil prices all over the place and what you're paying at the gas pump, obviously, right? been widely talked about. So again, what this island necessarily has to do with that, we were speculating as well the other day. And Preston, who has military a military background, is seemingly asking the same questions here.
Of Hormuz, that will not do it by force. It just can't. No matter how we get men and women onto this island to hold it, holding that island does not automatically open the Strait of Hormuz over here. It could be a negotiating, it could be leverage in negotiations, but a lot of it, I think, at this point is being conflated as to one and the same things. Like taking this island would give us control over the strait. That's not the situation here. They say an operation to seize Kharg Island is likely to have the opposite effect, by incurring significant costs for little operational or strategic gains that can be achieved more effectively through other means. Indeed, a seizure and occupation of Kharg Island is more likely to expand and extend the war than it is to deliver any sort of decisive victory.
Again, not only that, but we've talked about what a difference in mission it is between an air campaign and, again, boots on the ground, and the different things that are required there as far as, building and housing the people on the occupied territory, getting their food, getting their, all the equipment that they need, all the sustenance, everything they need to maintain daily life, as far as in a camp, whatever they set up on these, on these islands, if they do, in fact, decide to inhabit the islands. Then you can see clearly how much of an escalation this is, and how much more involved this is the second you put boots on any ground, whether it's the Iranian mainland or, again, just one of these islands off the coast there. So, I don't think it's news to anybody, the fact that boots on the ground has its own ramifications, has its own consequences that come from it, which is why everybody, to the best of their ability, always tries to, well, again, I say, well, we here on the left, to the best of our ability, we always try to to leave to the last second, or only when it's fucking absolutely necessary. And again, so I'm not saying any presidents have also followed that rule, but again, let's go into this sun video here, because this is kind of given a different perspective, where it's given it kind of a more of a positive look. Let me see if I go back to this one now, because I don't care about covering this guy up. So yeah, this is from The Sun, obviously a little more right-leaning publication, to say the least, compared to Preston. But this is talking about how the Pentagon's massive final blow will end the Iran war. And there's just there's a bunch of moments in this which I feel he's not taken into account and are worthy of being called out. I'm not sure if we'll get to all of them, but I just wanted to play the first few minutes of this again, just to kind of play, contrasting opinions here. As we try to do here. We try to take everything into account and look at all the angles and directions. And again, if we have to call out all these channels, we call out all the channels. So, all right, hit that like button. I appreciate it. I'm Boston Brian. Again, you're watching Blunt Politics. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your time with me. I know that is the most important thing that you have. So make it worth it. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and watch us get to 20,000 by the time we hit the midterm elections and start smacking the GOP all over the joint. All right, let's go.
Now, the Americans, as they take this forward, have got a number of options in the Red Sea.
And again, you might remember him because we've played actually a few of his videos where he's gone over the front lines of the battle in Ukraine there, and he does a pretty good job at that. But on this one right here, there's just a few instances, a bunch of instances, I think, where it's just kind of things not taken into account, and definitely kind of listening more to the propaganda aspect of this than the reality on the ground.
The first option that everyone talks about is taking Kharg Island. Kharg Island is where 90% of Iran's oil flows out into the Red Sea to get into tankers, to then flow those tankers to go out through the Strait of Hormuz and take it to the rest of the world. If you control Kharg Island, you control effectively Iran's economic output, and therefore that could be used as a lever by the Americans to force the Iranians.
But again, at what point has a regime that's been in place, as the fucking Republicans love to continue to say, for 47 years, right? Chanting death to America the entire time. Like, what are the chances that they were able to stockpile enough to make sure that if this were to take place, that they had the ability to fight on for at least a certain amount of time, right? To prolong this, to keep this going for at least a certain amount of time, even if they lost everything, even if they lost their Air Force, Navy, their oil, even if they lost all of that, they probably have, kind of like, okay, if that happens, we're going to do this, that, and that to retaliate. Like, don't think that this is just going to happen and nothing's going to come as far as consequences in return. Like, one can only imagine how much you can plan for something like this in 47 years. You know what I mean? So to think this is just going to be, automatically cutting the head off the snake and making it so that the Iranian regime can't conduct this war, I think that's kind of it's lacking in the knowledge of how long these people have been in power. And kind of their ability to produce these drones, to produce these missiles, obviously their underground capabilities. So putting all that together, one would have to imagine that their stockpiles would be enough to, again, I don't know how long it would be, but even if you cut the entire head off the snake in the body's still going to move for a certain amount of time, right? So similar to that aspect. But again, they're using this U.S. propaganda footage, as everybody loves to do, to kind of get their point across before he's even said a few words.
To come to the peace table and to accept some of America's negotiating points. However, there's no point in controlling Kharg Island if you don't control the Strait of Hormuz. And as we're seeing with what Iran is doing,
he does at least make this point. Like, he does at least make this stipulation where, the same thing that we were saying, it doesn't make sense to take Kharg Island if you're not going to do something in and around the Strait of Hormuz. Like, it just makes no sense that you're going to make your ships and troops go in and, through an area that you don't control. Typically the United States would like to have air superiority and total control over the surrounding areas, especially where we've known that Iran's launched drones and kind of sea drones from some of those surrounding islands there, that they have underground bases and they have bases on those islands there. Like, one would think that they'd kind of maybe not want to go through that, right? That, I don't know, just me suspecting, just kind of me calculating in my head why that would be a bad idea. But it doesn't seem like the United States, doesn't seem like the Trump regime has taken any of this into account. So why would they start now? Again, stop thinking logically, Brian. You can't think logically and try to, try to dissect what these illogical people are doing. It's just something I have to learn throughout this. I know it's frustrating as you're trying to think with your brain, trying to think logically like why they would be doing this. Just no logical answer. It's impossible. Stop trying to come to that conclusion. Let's just kind of call it out for the bullshit that it is. We'll react to it and mitigate it as fucking best as possible. Let's not try to dive into the psyche of these people. And I'm talking to myself here again. This is my therapy at this point in time. All right, let's go.
In closing the Strait of Hormuz, for most shipping, it's the Strait of Hormuz that's got that strategic presence for Iran. That's giving them that strategic lever.
Yep.
And within the Strait of Hormuz, there are a number of islands that Iran has militarized with their Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy, and they've got anti-ship missiles, they've got autonomous surface vessels, they've got fast attack craft, they've got subsea attack autonomous vehicles.
Wait, I thought their entire military capabilities were wiped out. I'm sorry. I thought didn't they eradicated the bomb dropper? What's he call them? The fucking shit. What do you call them? The mine droppers. Isn't that what Trump called them? Yeah, they eradicated the mine dropping boats. Fucking, what an absolute tool. What a fucking absolute moron the guy is. But I thought they had no more of these capabilities. Like, it seems to be you're listing off a bunch of shit that would be a danger, right? That would be no bueno to the United States military trying to fucking, sail their ships in and out of the Strait of Hormuz. And again, in attempts to try to take whatever island is in the area, or again, sail all the way to Kharg, like whatever it may be. Like, that sounds like a problem, right? Those all sound like issues, like big issues. Maybe that should probably be looked at. I don't know, just my guess.
And they use fast attack craft to drop mines to try and close the straits. They dominate the control of those straits. And one or all of those islands are something that the Americans, if they take Kharg, will have to consider taking as part of a sequenced operation.
So you see how this, this action, right? This next fucking escalation, this next level, you see how this is starting to get a little bigger and bigger? Like, it seemingly doesn't seem, well, again, that doesn't make any sense, but it seems to me there aren't even enough troops as far as in the area, which is why obviously the White House is probably going to go on to deny it. I think I have a BBC here. The next one here. This is the BBC. I'll throw this on the screen just real quick. We'll dive back into that one. But this is BBC saying that the Pentagon denies the reporting that the U.S. is considering sending 10,000 troops to the Middle East. But obviously, of course, they would. Donald Trump continues to say to every reporter that asks a logical question that he's not going to tell you about that because I can't, because of this or that reason. You know what I mean? Like, he's using that as an absolute excuse to not answer these questions. But, you can see here, there is reporting out there to suggest that the Pentagon denies this reporting that's going on out there. But let me see if I can throw this back on too.
From my perspective, I would suggest that because of the strategic importance of the Strait of Hormuz, America would want to try and take control of that first and foremost, but potentially using a threat on Kharg Island as a deception operation.
So again, you see here, he's kind of speculating that maybe the talks about going after, Kharg Island are kind of like a feint, or kind of like a, an operation to make it seem like they're going after it, make them, suspect that that's where they're going, but really trying to gain these, gain control over these different islands in the Strait of Hormuz. Again, this is all speculation at this point, but to what extent we know what this fucking regime is going to do, what their next step is, it's anybody's guess, really.
What America would need to do, either of them, is ideally a Marine Expeditionary Unit. We've got 2 of them steaming into the area, one from Japan. It has just left Diego Garcia. It is a couple of days out. And the other one is coming across the Atlantic and moving its way in. However,
again, I don't know. I don't know what calculation they do as far as what these plans are based off of, obviously, but it just doesn't seem to me like they have enough troops. Again, even if they were to send the added 10,000, it just doesn't seem to me like, I don't know. I could be wrong in that regard, but I do think that there would be like further action needed as far as not just taking these islands, but again, you're going to have to use the Navy after that. You're going to have planes in the area flying all over the place after that. Like if you are going to occupy these places, you're going to need the air control. You're going to need to get in the air defenses onto these islands, right? You're going to need to set up shops. So all of that's going to have to be shipped in or flown in. It's going to have to go through, obviously these dangerous positions, these dangerous spots in that area. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's something else is going to have to happen. You're going to have to either use the Navy to then escort all of the ships through there to make damn sure that all of them are safe so that you can reopen the shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, or you're going to have to go in to different spots on the Iranian mainland that they're still within the distance to lob missiles and drones into. Like, again, so you're never going to be able to fully eradicate, I don't believe, the threat posed by the Iranians to the Strait. So it would take, I think, in my guess, again, I could be right hand up, accountability could be totally wrong, but I think it would be a lot more actions that would have to take place to fully ensure that these ships could go through safely without any threat of retaliation beyond just taking these islands. I think it would have to be some positions in and around the Iranian mainland and that still have the capabilities, to launch drones or missiles or whatever it may be into the Strait. But again, right hand up accountability. That's just my my opinion, my guesstimate. Let me know if you think I'm wrong in the chat. Appreciate you guys.
Marine Expeditionary Unit to get into the Red Sea, to be able to take Kharg Island, it has to go through the Strait of Hormuz. And that would have to be secured. Therefore, what America seems to be doing now is moving large elements of the 82nd Airborne Division and other assets related to it. So the A-10 Warthog ground attack aircraft and Apache AH-64 attack helicopters.
And again, all, in my opinion, clear signs that this is something absolutely, at least being spoken about, planned, and kind of put into process behind the scenes, as much as, again, the next clip we'll talk about, the Pentagon says that they deny the reporting of the 10,000 troops. Clearly some movement is happening, clearly some buildup. I mean, we've talked about the Marines, we've talked about the 82nd as he's just brought up there. So, again, there's a good line in the movie I like to reference in all of the Zooms, and my apologies for it being vulgar, but I think it gets the point across very well. In this case, you don't put on a condom unless you're going to fuck, right? So again, you don't start bringing in these people, you don't start bringing in these troops unless you're going to use them. You don't put them in harm's way to keep them on ships rocking back and forth for fucking several months unless you're going to use them. So that's just, my suspicion. That's what I suspect. Tell me if I'm wrong in the chat.
Into areas where the islands in the Strait of Hormuz are well within range. You capture those islands.
And brownie points, bonus points. Sorry, Tiff. I know. I apologize beforehand. I'd let you know. But props, extra points in the chat if anybody can tell me what movie that's from. And no, I'm not saying it again.
Them securely with your airborne and air mobile forces. You can then use that to help secure it and provide a more secure way of getting your Marine Expeditionary Units into the Red Sea to reinforce, to sustain your operations in there, and sequence what it is that you're doing. So decisions, I think, will be Friday or Saturday this week. I think the
See what he
Americans.
said there? So that lines up with what, Preston was reporting in the video in the clip before that we just watched, where it seems like, today being Friday, whether it's afternoon or already ongoing. And, while I'm on here, it could be taking place as far as we know, who knows? But again, into this weekend seemingly is what people are looking at or reporting or at least hearing about, the buzz on the street as far as when this could likely occur. So again, that's just, reporting from, a few videos that I've seen now just kind of put together, even though they have differing opinions on, what kind of the outcome is, what's being put into it as far as thought, as far as planning. So they differ on those opinions, but it seems to line up as far as the timeline. And again, take all this with a grain of salt. At a time of war, the reporting is tough to nail down. So again, as I like to do, take it with a grain of salt. And if you don't hear it in multiple places reported in a similar way, then you have a reason to kind of question it, especially in today with AI and shit. I think we have one here actually. This is probably a good time to bring it up. We're talking about AI. This I kind of ran across this on X this morning, where this was posted in a few different places. This one being Donald J. Trump post True Social, whatever the fuck that is. I don't know. But this says that just in Iran attacked a container ship attempting to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. And this video is being associated with all of the, the post with it. So I'll play it for you guys. Let me know what you guys think. I didn't find this. I looked it up. I tried to find this reported in other, outlets and stuff. I didn't see it reported. I did see that there was a Thai cargo ship. And again, this doesn't bode well for control over the Strait of Hormuz when you got Thai ships that were hit almost a month ago at this point, a little less than a month ago, still kind of floating around willy-nilly. Apparently this kind of drifted ashore in Hormuz. So that thing's just, you can see the dangers posed and how people aren't even going in there to rescue the ships. Like even the wreckage that's in the way, like there's so little traffic. There's no reason to go in there and get the wreckage. You're just kind of flying willy-nilly. That I did see. This one's old, Pam. I know, that's what I was saying. So this one's about a month ago. So that's why I was saying this is what I did see. But this was kind of new reporting that it was drifting ashore. So the photo's old from the original strike. Correct. You're absolutely right, Pam. I want to make sure we get this clear. I don't want to do any mis or disinformation on you guys. But this one right here was the one that I saw today on the old fake site here of X. So again, take it with a grain of salt. And I want to see what you guys think. If there's a clear indication to you guys that it might be AI. Sometimes you guys are better off spotting this. A lot of you guys are more acquainted with AI, better up to speed with what AI can do. So sometimes you guys can point it out things that I don't necessarily notice. So again, I'm just going to play this. Let me know what you guys think. I did not see this reported anywhere else. I want to make it very clear. But again, I saw this posted in a few different places on the Nazi site X. And it's a real short clip. Not too much to it. I'll let it play a couple times. I'll get out of the way so you guys can kind of take a good look at it there. Let me know what you guys think. So to me, there's not anything really necessary that jumps off. I mean, it could just be an old video, right? Even if it's not AI, it could very well likely be like just an old video that people are trying to use, for propaganda purposes. It may be a real, or it could just be, like I said, another AI video. I'm not sure. You know what I mean? Maybe you guys can kind of distinguish some of the characteristics in that. It goes. Let me get out of the way. You can see here, just above where I was. It almost looks like there's an anchor, like it dropped. Well, it looks like the anchor's up, but it looks like some lines are overboard or something like that. So I'm not really sure what that means. Like, I don't know if they were trying to get lines overboard to kind of, get off the ship. Again, take this with a grain of salt. I saw it reported. I tried to look it up and confirm it in different outlets. I was unable to do so. So I just want to make that clear with everybody, because that's kind of the times that we're in. You got to second guess. You got to take a look at. You got to make sure that multiple outlets are reporting the same thing. You want to make sure that the numbers are somewhat accurate and similar to the other. That's the type of shit that you got to look for. If one article is reporting, 2,000 of this just took place, and then you see it somewhere else where it's 2 of that just took place, whatever it may be, then there's probably some discrepancy in there. There's probably some reporting in between you want to take a look at. And again, if you can't find the source, if you can't find multiple outlets or any outlets reporting on something that should be hugely and widely reported, then it's probably a good thing to second guess it, a good thing to try to do a little bit more research into it. And if you can't corroborate it, let everybody know that you can't corroborate it and kind of get everybody's opinion like I'm trying to do. A lot of people saying it looks like AI to me. Again, that's my first thought, that it was AI, right hand up. My first thought it was AI. But again, I didn't see anything like in particular that told me that it was, like that showed me that it was like any waviness or like maybe it's too much smoke. I don't know, right? Maybe the melting of the containers. But again, what was the fire like before? So that's kind of hard to determine. I don't know. Would the containers even melt like that? Would they, I don't know. Like possible, right? Plausible. But again, like I said, just take everything with a grain of salt there, and I will continue just in case you just joined us to report that, I was unable to confirm this in any other outlets or anything. So let me know. I'll go through this kind of slow. If you see anything that stands out to you as being something you can pinpoint as being, definitely AI, or pointing out that this is definitely fake, because, I'd like to do, obviously, real and accurate reporting here. So that was that video there. What's up? Just saying. Thank you so much. Appreciate that for the 5 gifted. Let's go, you guys. You guys are amazing there in the chat. I can't thank you guys enough for all your help and support and everything that you do for this channel. I really can't. It's amazing. And thank you so much, Just Saying. And I see here, who is this? Thank you, Mary Ann, for becoming a new member in there as well. If your new membership, or if your chat or super sticker goes by in the chat without me seeing it, make sure you stick around to the end of the show. We always like to thank and highlight and congratulate and appreciate everybody that sends in, whether it be a Venmo here, which you can send in by taking a picture of this little doohickey up here in the corner. That'll take you right to the Venmo. That is the easiest and quickest way to get your support to the channel. Nobody else gets to take a cut, and it is direct and immediate. But again, if you don't have access to that, multiple other ways that you guys are fantastic at helping out with is just, memberships underneath me, or patreon.com/Boston Brian, or again, gifted memberships, or signing up for a membership yourself. So thank you so much to Just Saying. Thank you to everybody in the chat. That's been really, really nice in helping this channel get along. Like I said, we're trying to get to 20,000 subscribers by the time midterm comes around, so we can see the look on the GOP's faces, and we can make sure that, the punches that we're throwing here have and carry a little bit more weight behind it. That's kind of the goal behind this, is to make sure that people start recognizing and start taking notice. We're trying to create some waves in this fucking space, and it's only with your help that we're going to be able to do it. So let's fucking go. Right? Whether it's going to the merch shop, again, everything done in-house here. We have no outside people, sponsors, backers telling us what to say, what not to say, not to swear more, none of that shit, right? So we focus on what we want to talk about. We cover it in the way that we want to cover it, and there's no outside people besides the chat here keeping me straight and in line, telling me how we're going to do things. So thank you so much for making that a possibility. Again, hopefully at one point we're going to be able to make this thing like a viable resource, a viable thing that keeps going and has no threat whatsoever going away. And hopefully we're getting to that point. Hopefully we're reaching that point. So appreciate the mods that have been with me. Appreciate everybody in the chat that's been with me as well. You guys are fantastic, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, or Substack. I do appreciate you guys. All right, let's dive on to the next. What was the next thing that I wanted to dive on to here? This might be a change of pace. No, this is kind of similar here. This is the Wall Street Journal article. We just wanted to kind of show you guys for a second here. This is the reporting that the Iranians had blocked 2 Chinese ships from Hormuz in rare move. Again, one would suspect that they would allow those to go through, but Israel says its latest strikes targeted Iran's weapons, while Pentagon considers deploying 10,000 more troops. Again, that's a little subset of news there. But this says Iran turned back 2 China-owned container vessels from the Strait of Hormuz in an unusual move by Tehran, which has focused its shipping blockade on countries it deemed supporters of Israel in the United States. Israel mounted a broad attack that had targeted Iran's weapons facilities and warned residents of parts of the city of Iraq to evacuate. Several countries in the Gulf intercepted a barrage of drones and missiles Friday, but strikes hit 2 Kuwaiti ports and 1 missile landed in Jordan. This is just kind of going different ones, but the crude oil resumed its climb above $110. I think right now, just before we got on, I saw it was about 111. Let me see if I can take a look, show you guys where it's at right now, because it was kind of doing a steady climb. Yeah, it was just about 111. It was at like 110.9 when I saw it just before I came on. Let me do a refresh. Yeah, so we're up. What's going up here? We're going up. We're already up to 112, 112.3 as far as Brent is concerned, and WTI is banging right on the door of 100 as far as dollars per barrel is concerned. So again, you can see here, it even talks about key Russia-Iran supply remains open despite the war. And before this, it was actually talking about the Chinese ships that were stopped and how that was causing some instability and chaos as well in the market. So seeing some kind of repercussions as far as that's concerned. I also saw that there was a lot of stocks in the red. As I'm looking now at the Dow is at 45,239, down 1.57%. And as my computer says, dropping fast. S&P 5,000 right now at 6,384, down 1.43% and dropping fast. NASDAQ at 20,971, down 2.04% and dropping fast. I don't think red's bad, right? As far as stocks is concerned, I thought red was bad. Dropping is not good but I think you guys know that. But yeah, you can see here on your screen kind of the impacts that we've obviously continued to see, the instability that we've continued to see, the market's reaction to the instability in every reaction to a strike or a threat on an oil field or a gas field or any of that. So one can only assume what the ramifications will be if in fact the United States does carry out some sort of ground invasion. Keep me updated in the chat too. For some reason, I feel like it's Friday. They were talking about Friday. I don't want to be missing this kind of breaking news if something happens. So chat and mods, if you guys see anything, let me know as far as breaking news, as far as that's concerned. In that regard. But, the instability that we've continued to see and what the secondary impacts are going to be above and beyond the, 112 that we're seeing now as far as Brent crude and the 99.28 as far as we're seeing here with the WTI. The price of gas now at, what is it? The national average is what? Damn near fucking $4 a gallon at this point. What is it? $3.97? Something around that. I think I have that pulled up somewhere too. Let me see here. Maybe I didn't. I think it's something like $3.97 or something like that. Correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, as far as that's concerned as well. But something along those lines. So you guys are obviously seeing it in your areas. It's just not going to react well. I can tell you if a ground incursion, a ground invasion of any of these islands are concerned, especially if it's something that has the control of 90% of Iran's oil. Like if we take Kharg Island, depending on what's left of it at that regard, I mean, obviously it's going to have a big impact if it's, if it's left intact compared to if they do kind of a scorched earth and blow it up themselves. Again, all speculation, hinging on whether or not the United States does in fact take this next step. But again, you'll know what the market reaction will be to that. It's not gonna bode well. Which is, again, why Donald Trump continues to put this extension on from the 48 hours to the 5 days to the fucking 10 days now. He's negotiating with him goddamn self, and he's losing the negotiation. It's unbelievable. Never thought I'd see anything like it. All right, let's dive into a little bit of James O'Brien. How about that? I know a lot of fans of James O'Brien. I know he's had a couple clips recently kind of going viral. A lot of people being kind of familiarized and introduced to James O'Brien, which I'm happy to see. I've been watching this guy for fucking, I don't know, I'm going to age myself and say probably damn near 10 years, going on 10 years plus at this point. I think it's got to be 2016-ish, like right when Trump started his bullshit. So again, shout out to James O'Brien, shout out to LBC. He's got a few clips going and making the rounds. And again, it's good to see people kind of getting introduced and familiarized with him because I think he does fantastic fucking work. We got a couple clips here. Here's a short one that's making the rounds. I saw this kind of requested in the chat early on today, so I figured I'd, ask and you guys shall receive, right? You guys have been fantastic to me, so I try to be fantastic to you. This is a little Scooby-Doo going on with James O'Brien. So shout out to the people in the chat that were requesting this. This was making the rounds. And then we got a longer video here with him and his sidekick, Simon Marks, talking about Trump's cabinet meeting and how fucking ludicrous that was. So we'll dive into that after. I do appreciate you guys. Hit that like button. Again, here's James O'Brien. Trump goes full Scooby-Doo. Here we go.
We haven't used. That's real, right? JD is involved, and Marco's involved, and Jared Kushner's involved. Very smart guy, and Steve Witkoff, smart guy, is involved, and I'm involved.
Did it remind you of anything at all? Did it? Because it did me. Sometimes I don't listen. I tell them not to play me the clips until I'm live on the radio so that you know that my reaction will be entirely authentic. Play the Trump one again.
And I'm involved.
Is that real? We haven't used...
I know, guys. I know. But we always say if you're not going to fucking laugh, you're going to cry. So we might as well give you some more instances to laugh about. I know the times are tough, right? The fucking reality and the timeline that we live in right now is just fucking bonkers, off the wall, ridiculous. So again, every now and again, it's good to crack a smile. It's good to get a laugh in, as crazy as the times are. But I want to get just one more time. How about one more time?
Sometimes I don't listen. I tell them not to play me the clips until I'm live on the radio so that you know that my reaction will be entirely authentic. Play the Trump one again.
And I'm involved.
Is that real? We haven't used... That's real, right? It's not AI saying, make it sound like he's saying the same thing. That's a genuine Scooby-Dooby-Dooby quote.
Doobie. I love it. All right, so that's James O'Brien poking a little fun at Donald Trump there, sounding like a fucking demented fool, because he is a demented fool. But again, we go on here where him and Simon Marks were talking about and kind of having their reaction to, Nina says, Rut-Row Shaggy. I appreciate you, Nina. Thank you so much for the $10. That's fucking funny. That's too funny. But yeah, they're going on and they're talking about, we did a little bit of coverage of this. Was it yesterday? Yesterday, it's all blended together at this point, folks. I'm sorry. I apologize. It's all fucking blended together at this point. But whenever Trump's cabinet meeting was, this is their reaction to it and kind of the ultra-Christian. They called it an ultra-Christian cabinet meeting, kind of, we call it the North Korea style of, making sure that you kiss Donald Trump's ass for a solid 5 minutes, and then you can get off your knees and talk about whatever bullshit and propaganda you want to bring up. But before you do that, you must bow down, kiss the ring, the shoes, the taint, and lick the mushroom pecker of Donald Trump. So let's dive into this real quick. This is the reaction of that cabinet meeting.
I would be nothing without you. Let's be clear about...
You know what? It'd be great if I started from the beginning. There we go.
Shall we begin with the religion stuff? Because I've kind of teed that up for you with an earlier caller, and it's definitely... You were the first person that alerted me to the direction of traffic here, and it's profoundly worrying.
Yes, it is, James, absolutely. And of course, Henry Riley and I would be nothing without you. Let's be clear about what took place yesterday in that cabinet meeting. And it's not a cabinet meeting, okay? We all keep calling this a cabinet meeting. It's not a cabinet meeting. It's a gathering of members of Trump's cabinet for a TV show. And it's the Trump show.
He's 1,000% right. He's a fucking 1,000% right. Like, the fact that we continue to call these things Trump and, cabinet meetings is a fucking joke. Because, like I said, nothing about this has anything to do or any relations or any, changes the fucking the play of what we're dealing with right now. Like, every single bit of it is just to make sure that they're in front of cameras, they're on the microphone, they're propagandizing, they're lauding Donald Trump, they're praising the dear Fuhrer, they're making sure that they know exactly who's in charge and how great he is. Like, this is just nothing but a North Korea style. Get me in front of a camera, we'll see who can fucking clap the loudest and the longest, and the first one to stop gets hung up by fucking piano wire. Like, that's pretty much what happens here. You know what I mean? So the fact that they're seeing this and smelling this from across the pond, and I don't think, rightly so, I don't think that Simon's across the pond. I think he does his reporting, unless that's just a backdrop. I don't know. I think he may be in Washington as a Washington reporter. So, but even he can smell this bullshit. Even James O'Brien, who I definitely know is across the pond, can smell the bullshit coming from this. And the fact that this is just an utter embarrassment and a joke of a government, of an administration, of a regime. Like, it's not even a fucking prop. Like, it's a regime. We call it regime because it's like disrespectful, and that's kind of like there's no way to make it seem like it's a legitimate administration, which I understand, but they're not even a fucking good regime. They're not even an effective regime. They can't even regime right, these fucks.
Where they are required dutifully to anoint him with ever-increasing amounts of baby oil in a bid to fluff his ego. And yesterday's...
Easy, Diddy. Easy. That's a Diddy too far right there. One Diddy, two Diddy. Stop with the baby oil, bro. Jesus, he threw him under the bus on that one. I'm sure Trump was at a lot of those fucking parties. You can be damn sure. I'm sure there's multiple, instances in which we could pull up pictures of those two. So Simon Marks getting his fucking shots in here. A little uppercut here from Simon Marks with the baby oil remark. I like it.
Was a classic of the genre. And once he finished speaking, and he went on for a very long time yesterday, I think the whole thing lasted almost 90 minutes, he turned to Vice President J.D. Vance.
Because he spent fucking 45 minutes on pens. and talking about $1,000 pens and how he'd hand out $40,000 worth of pens and how the kids didn't need those pens and fucking like just the most rambling, nonsensical bullshit that everybody was sitting there clapping like a seal when he finished because they just have nothing other. They get nothing better to do. They have no other play. They've submitted themselves to the Fuhrer. So now they got to ride this out until the fucking Titanic hits that iceberg and officially goes to the bottom of the fucking sea, which we're hopeful is sometime soon, but who knows? You know what I mean? We can all fucking hope and wish.
Who, of course, paid absolute tribute to the president's unique decision to go in militarily against Iran in conjunction with the Israelis and lined up solidly behind the war, even though, of course, J.D. Vance is known to be a skeptic about this entire military operation because he was the bloke back in the 2024 election campaign who was assuring President Trump's MAGA supporters that under no circumstance would a second Trump administration engage militarily against Iran because it was none of America's business. It was oceans away. It was up to the country's regional allies to take care of the situation. And then he sent an astonishingly jarring message to members of the armed forces in a country, and I cannot emphasize this enough, where there is a constitutional separation between church and state. Take a listen.
They're fighting at a time where we are about to enter as Christians the most important week of the Christian calendar, the Holy Week that celebrates the return of Jesus Christ to Jerusalem. And so I want to say to all of my fellow American Christians, but particularly...
Yeah, and again, no better way to celebrate than, again, taking the lives of innocent civilians around the fucking Middle East. It's just, watching our allies, suffer under the bombs because of something that we enacted. That's kind of how you want to celebrate that whole, that Christian fucking, that Christian holiday that you're supposedly representing at this point. What better way than to burn human beings alive, right, JD? Something you said was never going to happen, something that you tweeted about and talked about. I mean, again, this is coming from the guy that also called Donald Trump America's Hitler and is now sat by his fucking right side, defending every possible move he could possibly defend in this regard. So what do you expect from somebody that's changed his name 47 times? You don't know who he is and fucks couches. I mean, it's tough to listen or trust anything that comes out of this guy's mouth as far as that's concerned, right?
Those serving in the Gulf, that I wish you all a very blessed Easter, a very blessed Holy Week, and we continue to stand behind you and continue to support you every step of the way.
Now, we've already discussed on the program some of the evangelical Christian messaging, the Christian nationalist messaging that has been coming out of not only the White House, but also the Pentagon, where, of course...
Now, how many stations in this fucking country right now, and we don't have to, we'll kind of, I know we're kind of running short on time here. We might be able to dive into a couple more minutes, but how many fucking stations in this country right now are actually detailing the white Christian nationalism threat, right? Like the white Christian nationalism that was used in trying to recruit the DHS members and to trying to recruit the ICE agents, right? Like how many different media sites continue to talk about that was being used and continues to be used as a ploy, as a propaganda tool in recruiting the Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers, and the rest of the people that would fucking be wrapped up in those organizations? Like, because they're talking about it on LBC in fucking Britain, okay? Right. And he's making no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's not beating around the bush. Right. He's being very fucking blunt about it, if I do say so myself, about what's coming out and who it's coming from. Because he quite rightly points out the Christian nationalist point of view, the Christian nationalist rhetoric that comes out of this administration and where it's coming from. The fucking White House. That's where it originates. Okay. That's where it's perpetuated from. And that's where we continue to see it from. And you don't hear it being called out that bluntly by fucking anybody as far as I've seen. And not that I watch a whole lot of, or if any, I should admit, mainstream media at this point. But we use a bunch of clips from different, and I've never seen them in a long, long time, except for when the story was coming out about the song that DHS was using, right? They may have done a report or two on it there, but I don't see them talking about it anymore. So, but you do hear LBC talking about it. You do hear it here on Blunt Politics. So again, another reason why you guys should hit that subscribe button, which is, kind of showing why there's some value in the show. I would hope, at least, I know I'm biased in that regard because my name's on it, but if you guys do find some value in the show and there's some reason that you find in watching it, and it's not just to kill some time, even if it is just to kill some time during your day, whatever it means to you, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. It's easy to do so and it's free to do so. It doesn't cost you a dime, and it's a real big help to the channel. And again, even if you dislike what I'm saying, throw a bad comment in the chat, throw a thumbs down in there. Some engagement, any engagement's better than no engagement. engagement. So again, whatever you think about the show, let me know. All right. Let me know. I appreciate you guys. All right. We can probably dive into it. We got 10 past 3. What do we got left? Sorry, I'm trying to do some calculations in my head. All right. We'll go into shit. Should we? This next one's good though. All right. Let's go into this one. Just so I'm sure we don't waste any time. Well, run out of time at the end of the show. But this one, you guys are gonna, I don't know, maybe laugh at. I'm sure you're gonna laugh at because I did. It's kind of hard not to. It's, I'm putting you in a difficult position, I know, as far as this is concerned. But let me throw this on the screen for you guys. And nope, that's not it. But this is. But you guys have seen, we've played on the show here, the different propaganda videos coming out of the White House, whether it's, again, the bowling videos or the airstrikes that they use in conjunction with, Call of Duty footage, whatever the fuck it may be. Well, apparently, allegedly, this is now coming from inside of the the Iranian team there, the Iranian regime. This was a video put out, again, allegedly, what people are reporting on, I guess, you know what I mean, as far as coming out from them. But this is their representation of Donald Trump. And again, this is kind of raising the bar. I got to say, it slaps. I got to say, unfortunately, I'm in a difficult position here. I will fucking admit, but this shit slaps. Okay. It kind of got you moving in your seat a little bit. And I felt bad. I felt guilty for moving and grooving. I really did. But again, at the end of the day, what are you going to do? So again, this is a little video. It's not even a little video. It's 2 minutes and 40 seconds. So not like a fucking short video by any regard, right? Listen to this. And I'm hoping that it's no copyright on the music. I would assume there wouldn't be, but check this out. This is, again, allegedly put out by the Iranian regime. I don't know if you guys know more specifically where it came from. I was unable to kind of detail exactly where it originated. But again, supposedly coming out from the Iranian side, and this is detailing. You can see Donald Trump already starting at a craps table. Listen to this. Again, raising the bar just a few levels, I'd say, above and beyond what the White House uses as propaganda. Because holy shit, check this out.
Yeah. You crossed the ocean just to find your grave. Sacrificed your own boys for a lie. Listen. Yeah. Yeah. Make America great again. Yo, tails, this shit crazy. Yeah. Make America great again now. We will see what happens, yeah. Watch this. Sacred defense, we protecting the soil. While you sacrifice soldiers to pay for your spoil. You once who ran the globe, sitting on your throne. Now we turning every base into a bed of stone. It's a slaughterhouse, a trap you couldn't see. Welcome to the graveyard of your vanity. The secrets are leaking. The pressure is rising.
Come on, tell me it doesn't. Like, if your head isn't nodding, I don't know. There's something wrong with you.
Yeah, we spelling at your name. Send them to the slaughter, you the only one to blame. Bleeding for a puppet while you shaking in your sweet. LOSCR. Taste the ass of defeat. LOSCR. Yeah, we spelling at your name. Send them to the slaughter, you the only one to blame. Bleeding for a puppet while you shaking in your sweet. LOSCR. Taste the ass of defeat. Sweat's fighting in your suit, hiding Epstein's ghost. You sent your boys to die on the bloody coast. Not a revenge for the leader's blood is purely mine. Every drop of his blood is a missile on the line. You thought you took him out, thought the fire was dead, but another common is standing ahead. Yeah, you strike one down, we just
I don't know. I gotta say, I don't know who. Again, it says on the bottom there. But what that person is affiliated with, where they come, I don't know. You know what I mean? But Jesus H. Christ, I think this kind of, hits on a new level as far as propaganda is concerned. I mean, even referencing the Epstein files and shit, but, both the BB's in it, fucking Trump at the craps tables. Again, the blood's on Donald Trump's hands. The beat, I don't know. Who's rapping in this? For fuck's sake. God damn.
Your brain, we put another in the lid. Combinate again. The secrets are leaking. The pressure is rising. We locked on the target, and now you are hiding. LOSCR. Yeah, we spelling out your name. Send them to the slaughter, you the only one to blame. Bleeding for a puppet while you shaking in your sweet. LOSCR. Taste the ash. LOSCR. Yeah, we spelling out your name. Send them to the slaughter, you the only one to blame. Bleeding for a puppet while you shaking in your sweet. LOSCR. Taste the ash of defeat.
I mean, I do. I feel terrible. I feel terrible. The fact that it slaps. I do. Don't get me wrong. I don't like that it slaps. I don't want it to slap. Right? I don't want it to bob my head, but it did. It did. So fucking send me to hell. I don't know. What do you want me to do? I was going there to begin with anyway. So fuck it. It's going to be crowded. It's going to be crowded. Oh, but Jesus Christ. I mean, they put out some bullshit. I mean, you know, the White House puts out some bullshit. It's going to, you know, warrant some bullshit in return, right? So fucking they hit him. They hit him. All right. Speaking of bullshit and idiots, what do you say we get into a little bit of this moron here who, again, is desperate to somehow stay on the train? The Trump is the peace president train. Like the Trump is the guy to end all wars train. Like everybody's, like, you know, far past we of that right now. Like the guy that's like, again, started all of these wars that we're now looking at, that's talked about pretty much invading every fucking country on earth, you know, since he's gotten into the second term. But this is Greg Kelly. Let me throw this on the screen. Let me throw this. This is Greg Kelly. He talks about how Trump has a passion for ending wars. Again, as we're talking about a clear and present escalation, as we're talking about if we don't actually do that, there's no off ramps. There's no way in which Donald Trump can claim victory. Again, with the Strait of Hormuz still being controlled by the Iranians. Again, with the ability to still lob missiles and drones into these different sites. Again, it's not. It's ridiculous in so many different levels. So many fucking different levels to call this guy like the peace president, still the peacemaker, as it says on the screen, and then to say he's got a passion for ending wars. The guy that, again, ramped up you know, drone strikes even above you know, the level that was seen under a Barack Obama, right? I mean, the levels in which we could talk about his disgust and disgraced for the U.S. Servicemen and women of our country, the veterans, again, people that have been captured, his you know, denigration of John McCain, who was a veteran himself, who was shot down over, you know, Hanoi, spent time at the Hanoi Hilton, was tortured to the point where he lost, you know, use and mobility in his arm, and that was mocked by Donald Trump. You know, Donald Trump saying he doesn't like people that have been captured. He likes people that haven't been captured. The guy that used fucking several deferments to get out of serving this country, from having to pick up a weapon and go to these fucking, you know, these war zones himself. This motherfucker that was too chicken, the guy that didn't want to get his hair wet, didn't go to the fucking World War I cemetery because his fucking hair was going to get wet, right? Called them suckers and losers. So this same guy, you're going to be talking about how he's like the peacemaker and has respect and is using the military respectful and wants to end all wars. Okay, Greg, I'll give you a minute. I'll give you about 2 minutes of my time to try to get that across. And if you can't in that amount of time, then, you know, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. But all right, this is Greg Kelly, Newsmax. Again, trying to stay on this train, trying to get other people to stay on this train of believing that Trump is some big peacemaker. Again, as we've seen clear-cut evidence of war crimes. We've seen clear evidence of lack of planning, lack of care for not only our military, but again, the population here, the people in this country, and what the secondary impacts would be, the secondary impacts to the people in the surrounding region, the danger to our allies in the region, the danger posed to the U.S. bases in the region. None of that seemingly was thought about or cared about, even if it was mentioned, because, again, we saw and showed the reporting that Donald Trump thought that they were going to capitulate in the first days. The moment the first bombs were dropped, the Iranian regime was going to capitulate. They would never think about retaliating against the Hormuz Strait. They would never think about lobbing drones and missiles into U.S. bases. Never in a million years, even though we're consistently seeing that right now. So, again, Greg Kelly on the bullshit train and trying to get you to stay on it, too, and that being maggots that may be watching in the background, because I know there is people watching in the background that don't necessarily agree with the stance here, don't agree with the show, but continuously watch, and I do appreciate you guys because you are very valuable to the show as well. You know, you guys keeping those numbers up, you guys keeping the old algorithm working. I appreciate it. But every now and again, pop in the chat. You know, give us your ones and twos. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know where you disagree so we can combat that. All right. Appreciate you guys. All right. Thank you.
We all know him very well at this point. He does not like war. This was essentially a last resort conflict.
Last resort. You know, that last resort from a problem we've apparently faced for the last 47 years. Right. But this is the last resort. We couldn't have gone another fucking day. We've gone 47 years, apparently. These cocksuckers love to fucking tell everybody, with like imminent threat, under imminent fucking threat of death every single day from the Iranian regime. But this last minute, this minute that we undertook this war was the last possible minute we could have waited before what? Before 2 weeks, before they had a nuclear weapon, before 2 months, 2 years, 2 seconds. Which one is it now? Because it was eradicated. It was, you know, they had their fatwa. You know, they don't believe in nuclear weapons. Like, which one is it again? Tulsi Gabbard says it was put on hold in 2003. says there was no evidence to suggest it was restarted in any regard. Again, it was obliterated 6 months ago. Like, which one are we going with today, Greg? James O'Brien on LBC did a fucking great job. He's got clips going around to this effect where he details the hypocrisy in almost every statement coming from not only Netanyahu but also Donald Trump, probably mainly Donald Trump, where it's, you know, we need the U.S. We need the Allies' help. We don't want the Allies' help. We never needed the Allies' help. We don't want the oil. We don't need the oil. We do need the oil. We're not sending troops in. We are sending troops in. We thought about this. We didn't think about this. It was thought about. It was a retaliation, but not a retaliation. Like, everything that we're hearing from this fucking regime is just total and complete bollocks. Is just the completely antithetical thing that they said the exact sentence beforehand, which makes it that much more difficult to sift through, which is probably a calculated move to some degree. A lot of these people probably following the rhetoric of Trump, because it's so hard to decipher and get through, that they're using it to their effect as well. But all right, go on, Greg. I know I didn't even make it through 7 seconds. I didn't make it to 10 seconds before calling this asshole out. All right, my apologies. I'll see if I can let it run more than 10 seconds here.
He loves ending wars. He has a
bullshit. Sorry, couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. Bullshit. Fuck you, Greg. Fuck you, Greg. We're talking Greenland. We're talking Mexico. We're talking Cuba. We're talking Venezuela. We're talking fucking Iran. I mean, at what point do you remove your head from your anus and start fucking sniffing fresh air again and being like, you know what? What I'm saying is absolute horseshit and cannot be fucking played out as far as being factual by any stretch of the imagination. Like, we're seeing the complete and total opposite. Even in his first term, you can't even if you want to take out the fucking ridiculous chaos that he's ensued or has ensued since he's taken over in his second term. We talk about, again, we already mentioned it, but the fact that he revamped or even, went above the level of the drone strikes and the civilian casualties that we saw under Barack Obama's leadership and before then. So again, you can see there how that doesn't seemingly talk about a president of peace or a guy that wants to see peace, right? Or cares about human life or dignity or anything about anything like that. So sorry, I promise I'm going to let it go more than 10 seconds. It's going to play for more than 10 seconds. I promise, and I won't stop it.
For it.
I have settled so many wars since we're here. We're here almost 9 months, and I've settled 7. And yesterday we might have settled the biggest of them all.
No, he didn't. No, he fucking didn't. No, he didn't. We've gone over this, and it's been probably months since we've talked about it. But again, we brought up at the time he was talking about this. We went through every single war that he was fucking listing, and we talked about how there was still huge aspects to those conflicts, not only that have kicked off since, again, whether it be, firearms, whether it be incursions or just military action in general, or again, huge sticking points and things that are not going to be negotiated on or, come to a negotiating conclusion on. And these things are going to remain, and it's going to kick off, and it's going to, there might be a pause here and there, but again, it was not solved or resolved by any stretch of the imagination. There was still huge talking points, still huge issues to be resolved. Even in the ones that did come to some agreement or some ceasefire for some period of time. But again, the fact that he continues to spew this bullshit is ridiculous. You guys know it's ridiculous, but I want to reiterate for anybody that may be new to the channel and hasn't seen anybody talk about this, that's horseshit. Okay, that is complete and total horseshit.
Was just by the use of tariffs. Pakistan, India was very big. Both nuclear powers, I settled that. In a period of just 7 months, I have ended 7 unendable wars. They said they were unendable.
So I wonder, will it count if he ends this war, which, let's face it, we actually started dropping the bombs. Well, Iran.
Yes, Greg. No, you don't get fucking credit for ending a war. You don't get a peace prize, okay? If that's what you're getting at, you don't get the Nobel Peace Prize for ending a war you started. You dense, dumb son of a bitch. Is that a serious fucking question? Does he get credit for ending the war that he, Benjamin Netanyahu, and Jared Kushner started to keep the focus off of the fact that Donald Trump is in the Donald Trump files more than fucking Jeffrey Epstein is? Are you serious? You're joking, right? Like, Jesus fucking Christ. The propaganda on this fucking network here, even a network that Donald Trump the other day was shitting on, I would reiterate, I would like to remind everybody, like, there was a question asked, I forget exactly what it was, but it wasn't like something ridiculous, where Donald Trump kind of went off on Newsmax or at least a reporter for Newsmax, I should say. But again, not getting any credit, not getting any kind of, success or applause from Donald Trump with all this ass kissing, but they continue to do it. They continue to do it. They continue to do it. And it is fucking sickening.
Ended a long time ago. Will this count? I don't know.
No,
but he wants it.
You asked it again? No. The answer is fucking no. Unequivocally, no. You don't get credit. You don't get prizes. You don't get applause for ending a war that you fucking started after we've seen the destruction and the amount of death we've already fucking seen. No, you still pay the piper. You still have to pay the price for the war crimes. Okay. Regardless of what happens from here on out, your ass should feel that fire. Okay. You should be on a stick at some point. Not so much Greg, but the guy currently next to him on the fucking screen. Absolutely. Right. But, I digress.
Ended, and I do believe he is the peacemaker. I also believe our demands.
Right. Fucking, I'm a silly girl on Twitch says, sorry, Luck Dragon, but I'm a silly girl says, will this count? Such freaking babies. Like, again, like they're just all like it's a scoreboard, right? They're just worried about how many fucking fake awards Donald Trump can rack up. You know what I mean? What's he up to now? About 7 fake awards, 7 made up participation trophy awards that fucking people have felt bad because he's demented in the head. And they just feel like, if we're going to sit there and watch him shit his pants and fall asleep at these committee meetings, we might as well, see if we can entice him with a little bit of gold or something. And again, as he continues to negotiate with himself about these phantom boats, again, I haven't seen any fucking real confirmation at all about these like phantom boats that were reportedly sent as a present. Iran continues to deny any of the fucking things that Donald Trump's coming out and claiming. So again, this is why it's like he's negotiating with himself. He's losing the negotiations. He's lying about presents and he's still not receiving the gifts. Like he couldn't be doing any worse. Out of the deal though, folks. Out of the deal. How's it going for you? Good? Awesome.
Are reasonable. Now, this is good. At least the
it
two
is
sides
good. Everything we're seeing is now good, though. The price of oil, the price of gas at the pump, the fucking the prices that are increasing on pretty much every single everyday good that you need. That's going to continuously keep going up. The more in the prolonged issues, the more in the the longer we see these straits closed and possibly more straits closed and shipping rerouted. Again, more money being put into the fuel spent, which is again going to trickle down to you and your wallet and what you guys have to buy. Again, we've talked about the the fertilizer issue, and if the United States is unable to get the amount of fertilizer necessarily to do the farming in this country, what a fucking huge impact that would have. I mean, there's a lot of different ways this still can go sideways as we're talking about escalations, as far as like de-escalations as this is concerned. We can see how this is easily getting into a point where you need to take more steps in order to mitigate the steps you've already taken. Right. So that's how easily these things spiral out of control, whether it's Iraq, Afghanistan, all of these things. There's people out there that warn against it, especially boots on the ground because of the tidal wave, the fucking snowball effect that inevitably comes from that. Right. You start having to take more action in order to say, OK, in order to obtain this goal, we got to keep going and doing this in order to do this. And because this happened, we need to do this. So it's like it continues to spread. And it gets fucking bigger, way bigger and more out of control well before you start to see de-escalation, right? So again, that's why this is always such a huge talking point as far as going from an air campaign to actual physical boots on the ground on enemy soil, whether it be island or mainland territory. So again, this is, I think we might go into it just another minute or two of this nonsense, this ridiculousness. He's talking about, this is a good thing. Give up nuclear program, which again, they already said they obliterated, which again, Tulsi Gabbard said was put on hold in 2003. And there's no evidence to suggest that they restarted that. The one that we already had a nuclear program, a nuclear deal with under Barack Obama that allowed cameras, that allowed negotiators, that allowed observers to go in there and follow the entire process from start to finish. But that's not something that they will talk about there. Limits on long-range missiles. Again, I don't know about that, considering we've just talked about in this show the reporting that they've only managed to confirm about 1/3 of the missiles being destroyed, which again is vastly different than what you're hearing from Pete Hegseth. Cut ties with proxy groups in Lebanon, Syria, and Iraq. How's that going for you? How's that going for you as we continue to see the Israel attack in Lebanon? We continue to see and hear about, the effect that the Houthis could have on the Bab el-Mandeb. Like, how's that going as we continue to see like different factions flying drones around the Iraqi U.S. bases? So again, I just put that to you. How's that going with all these demands so far?
Okay, this is what we want. Of course, give up the nuclear, limits on the long range.
Give up the. Do these people not hear themselves? How do you give up something you obliterated? How do you give up something? I just muted myself. That's how frustrated I just got. That's how flustered. I literally just muted myself. How do you eliminate? How do you fucking give up something you eliminated? You destroyed. You obliterated. That again, people in your administration said hasn't been a thing since 2003, or if it ever was. You know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck? Do you hear yourselves? Do you read this and then say, I've said the total opposite to my fans just not that long ago. Maybe I should think about why that, that fucking, why the Chiron says that. Like, I don't, like, do they hear themselves talk, or do they not care? Is it just because they're paid so well, right? This is where their bread's buttered and they just don't give a shit and they're willing to say and do anything? Or are they that fucking dense? Right, where they just don't see it. I don't know. I wonder. I don't know. Like I said, all these people and everything is going to have to be studied for quite some time in the future to see why the fuck these people were given the power that they were given in these positions, whether it's media or again government.
If not no long-range missiles. Cut ties with proxy groups in Lebanon, Syria, Iraq. Stop exporting terrorism. As far as the Iranian demands, they want the U.S. bases removed from the Middle East, reparations for any damage that we did during this campaign. They want to control the Strait of Hormuz,
which they do,
and a guarantee no more attacks. I can tell
you. So again, demands on both sides that are seemingly never going to be agreed to. Which again goes to show the uselessness of Donald Trump saying that these talks are going so well, and that's why the pauses are taking place, and it's not really things going on behind the scenes that he's really trying to impact as far as that's concerned. But all right, we don't have to watch too much of Greg Kelly. Was there anything I missed? I feel like there was one thing that I missed or didn't go back to. I did. I didn't go back to the BBC one. I knew I did. I missed that one. Let me see. Because there was a good moment in this that I wanted to look at as well. So allow me to kind of switch speeds just a second here as we kind of backtrack. That's my fault there. I kind of skipped over one of the clips that I wanted to see. But this is from the BBC. And again, just to show you that there's, alternative reporting out there as far as, what the Pentagon is saying. But of course, obviously take that with a grain of salt. People that are enacted in a war right now probably not going to be, too fucking eager to detail exactly what's going to be undertaken in the next few days. But, again, I digress. But this is Pentagon denies report that U.S. considering 10,000 troops to the Middle East. And then I'll let the beginning play. And I think there was a moment in here, where this gentleman speaks, where he comes in the middle, and there was a couple good points I think that he makes, if I remember correctly. So let's see if we can just dive into a minute or two of this, and then we got a couple Ukraine updates, one from Canal and one from the professor. So hit that like button. Slava Ukraina, Heroyam Slava. I appreciate everybody watching. Thank you to the mods. Thank you to the best chat on the fucking planet, which is right here at Blunt Politics. You sons of bitches. You're the best. Love you. Let's go. All right.
The Pentagon has declined to comment on media reports. It's considering sending up to 10,000 additional troops to the Middle East. It would mark a significant
Whoa, BBC. That's different than what you have on your fucking reporting there. You said the headline on this, the title on this says Pentagon denies, right? Pentagon denies report that U.S. is considering sending 10,000 troops. What she just said in the beginning there was that they just didn't comment.
The Pentagon has declined to comment on media reports. It's considering sending up to 10,000 additional troops to the Middle East. It would mark a significant boost to U.S. military presence in the region amid growing speculation that Washington may be preparing a ground operation in Iran. Meanwhile, Iran Revolutionary Guards say the Strait of Hormuz is closed and anyone transiting through the area will face harsh measures. These developments...
Yeah, we don't need to go into that. I just want to see if we can dive into a little bit of where they talk to these gentlemen here. I think it's the second guy, if I'm not mistaken. I was going to dive onto a little bit of this, see if we can get any insight on what's taking place here.
US and Iran have had indirect talks. Our security correspondent, Frank Gardner, gave his analysis, saying there is a major gap between what each country is willing to accept.
Let's stick with what we know for sure, which is that there are messages and proposals being passed both ways, from Washington to Tehran and back again. But there is a major gap between what the two sides are prepared to accept. So I find it very hard to believe that the, quote, talks are going well, because the Iranian demands are unacceptable to the Americans and indeed here to the Gulf states. and America's demands are unacceptable to Iran, which is feeling very defiant. Look, there's a good reason why President Trump has paused for another 10 days his threat to attack the power plants, the energy plants of Iran, because Iran made it very clear that if that happened, it was going to hit back at power plants on this side of the Gulf.
Yes, and the effects from that would be detrimental, right? The effects from that would be fucking huge, felt across the world. So which is, again, another reason why Trump continues to chicken out, not only because of the market manipulation and people betting on him chickening out and him making money off the back end, assumedly from his chickening out, but again, him negotiating with himself and fucking losing, which is, again, just not a good look. I gotta say, not a good look.
Would be catastrophic for the countries of this region. You're talking about desalination plants that provide the drinking water, hospitals, schools, all the rest of it. Now, they've already taken a lot of hits from Iran, but this could be so much worse if those power plants were hit. So there have been messages from the Gulf states to the US. Please think really carefully before you do this, because we are going to get hit in return.
And again, these same people that were already reporting on the fact that they were low on interceptors, right? That they didn't know if this was, prolonged to a long degree, how much they could kind of, make sure that they could intercept the missiles at whatever rate that they have been. Again, we've been talking about the ongoing success at getting through the Iron Dome, the ongoing success at getting through the U.S. air defenses in the area around the bases. We've seen multiple videos now of drones just flying willy-nilly around the bases and shit. Again, not a good sign. We've talked about how now the bases are almost uninhabitable, that they're working remotely, that we've talked about before as far as living in hotels and shit. Again, that doesn't sound to me like a military that's in full control, like a complete and total victory to me by any stretch of the imagination.
We are, of course, hearing US media reports that the US is sending more troops to the region. How prepared do you think both sides are to negotiate and try and resolve this conflict quickly?
Both sides are absolutely prepared to negotiate, but on their terms. And I think there is a parallel here with the Russia-Ukraine war, where you had both sides saying, absolutely, we want to end the war, but on our terms. And those terms, I think, are still far apart. There's been a miscalculation without
I'm not sure that's a fucking accurate comparison either in that regard, too. I mean, I'm not sure one is comparable to the other in that regard as far as, what the demands or what the Ukrainians would like to see as far as the end of the war is, as far as that's concerned, and what the Russians have, or the lack of cooperation and negotiations from the Russians, I should say. Again, I'm sure that's in some way a ridiculous comparison. But again, I just wanted to see if they were talking about any of the added aspects of this and what the details could be, what was likely. I'll give them another couple seconds, and then if not, we'll dive on to this Canal video detailing the Ukrainian launches and how successful they were over the last few nights, both inside of Russia and also in occupied territory. So stick with me. I just want to show another second or two of this, a couple seconds, and see if he gives us any more details. If not, you're out of here, Chief. All right, let's go.
If you talk to anybody who has a sober analysis of this war, they will tell you, including military people who don't want to be quoted, that there was an overestimation by the White House and Central Command as to how quickly Iran was going to crumble. They thought that with this shock and awe of this overwhelming military superiority that the US and Israel undoubtedly have over Iran, that the regime would collapse or capitulate. And it's done neither. And every day that it survives, despite losing so many key people, despite losing so much weaponry, despite so many hits, it's still standing. And that's making it very defiant. And if you talk,
and again, that's exactly what we've been talking about. The fact that they don't necessarily need all of the capabilities that the United States has thus far been managed to take out in order to affect the pain, in order to affect the damage. And obviously the reporting that Donald Trump and this fucking military, the military leadership in the United States definitely thought that this was going to be a short, the Iranians were going to capitulate. Everything was going to go fucking as planned. There was going to be no retaliations, and they didn't need to do any secondary planning to make sure that there was no, effects felt throughout the planet from whatever takes place in this region. So, it's pretty accurate to suggest that everybody, he's just talked about military experts saying the same thing. Like, it's pretty clear to most people looking at this, that this was a definite miscalculation by the Trump regime here. But all right, let's dive into a little bit of this coverage, if I may. I appreciate you guys sticking with me. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. I'm Boston Brian. This is Blood Politics. And again, this is a quick video from Canal talking about the Ukrainians' launches, the largest overnight attack on Russia since the start of the war. This talks about up to 400 UAVs being shot down. I think that's actually coming from the Russian side of things and talking about how much they had to shoot down. So I just wanted to dive into a couple minutes of this, if I may, and then we got this professor video to kind of detail a little bit further on the Ukrainians and the ports that they took out and what that means. So again, stick with me. A couple more videos to go. What else do I got over here? I think I have some OSINT Defender. Oh, shit. This is what I wanted to ask you guys. Shit, there's so much to pull up and talk about. Before I get into the... Now I'm muted. Before I get into the Canal video, let me ask you guys a question about this. Have you guys been seeing these posts by the White House? What are you guys making of these posts? These like really weird, cryptic posts that they got going on. There was these ones here, which is like pixelated views, what looks to be Donald Trump. I think one's JD Vance. There was another couple videos here. Here's this one that people were talking about. I'm not sure if you saw this one. It was just like a really quick, like weird video that was posted and I believe deleted, where it was like they're talking about, they're suspecting it may be Caroline Levitt, but you can see like a brown skirt, some women's shoes, some water, and somebody talking about, is it launching soon, right? Or it's launching soon, right? So I'm not sure what this means because it was deleted, kind of like a weird video, and there's more than this. So I'll play this. Let me know what you guys think of these videos.
It's launching soon, right? It's launching soon, right?
So you can hear, it's so cool. It's launching soon, right? And who knows what they're talking about. It could be any number of things. But again, the fact that this was able to be posted on the White House account and then had to be deleted after was leading people to kind of speculate what it meant. And then there was a couple more here. I think there was, here's the one of JD Vance. There was a couple of Trump that they sent and was like pixelated. Here's another set. Here's a cryptic video posted within the last hour by the White House. This was posted 15 hours ago. But with the emoji, shh, when you play it in reverse, it says exciting announcement tomorrow. Like, again, these weird videos here. Check this out. One more time. Something, and then there's another one here. It says exciting announcement tomorrow behind the music, which is, again, a strange choice of music. I believe that's Jay-Z. Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Hove. Like, so for the White House, who supposedly doesn't like Jay-Z because of their affiliation with the NFL and the Super Bowl, the halftime show and shit, right? Like, I thought they didn't like that guy. Like, I don't know. I don't think they actually thought that far ahead of it, but you know, that's the song that they're playing in the background. And if you listen to it very carefully, you can hear exciting announcement tomorrow, whatever the fuck that means. And you know, if does that mean the ground invasion? You know what I mean? What's going on here? Again, these kind of like weird cryptic videos. I'll play it one more time. Sorry, I know I was probably muted. See, you can just hear in the background where it says exciting announcement tomorrow, and it's playing over, again, I don't know if you heard this, sorry. For some reason, when I click anything on this screen, it mutes me. So I don't know how much you heard of what I was talking about, but as far as the Jay-Z song that they're playing, apparently I thought they weren't fans of Jay-Z because of his affiliation with Roger Goodell, the NFL, the halftime show, and all of that shit, but seemingly playing Jay-Z's, allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Hove in the background there. I don't know. Again, I don't think they thought that through. I don't think they thought that far ahead. But again, what's the exciting announcement? Is that boots on the ground? Is that the announcement? Because, you know, one wouldn't pass this administration for doing some sort of stupid propaganda video like that, considering what they've already put out in the past, right? So what does that mean? Not sure. It's a bunch of like weird cryptic videos. Again, some of them having to be deleted, the pixelations, those videos that you just saw. It's like these fucking people are losing their shit. We're being led by absolute fucking maniacs at this point. And fucking, you know, buckle up, hold on. We're just trying to make it through this wild ride. But all right, let's dive into the video here by Canal, kind of detailing the successes of the Ukrainian military. As far as I think this is, I wanted to play this yesterday, so this is probably from the night before, just to kind of detail and give everybody context. So let me see if I can throw this on the screen. We'll play this. I appreciate you guys. Hit that like button.
Ukraine launched large-scale drone attacks across Russian regions on Wednesday in what was the largest overnight attack on Russian regions and the Crimea Peninsula since Moscow's forces invaded Ukraine more than 4 years ago. Overall, 389 incoming Ukrainian drones were shot down in 13 Russian regions, including the Russian-annexed Crimea Peninsula,
Good.
Russia's defense ministry revealed on March 25. Alexander Drozdenko, governor of the Leningrad region north of Moscow, said 56 drones were shot down there, and a fire broke out in the Baltic seaport of Ust-Luga as the result of Ukraine's attack.
Good. And again, this is using their reporting against them. The what they say, the mayor around the Leningrad region there, talking about how many they shot down, which is again probably overestimated. He's probably over exaggerating the amount that they were able to shoot down, knowing the Russians and knowing the propaganda usage that they like to have. So again, good to see that the Ukrainians are still getting the putting their foot down on the gas here as far as attacking the infrastructure inside of Russia and making sure that they feel the pain when, again, the United States is allowing them to make more money by selling their oil the same way that they're doing with Iran, the country that they're, again, two countries we're at war with, or should be at war with, I should say. But it's like, what the fuck are we doing here? You're allowing them to make more money. You're allowing them to sell their oil at the same time because you're scared about the repercussions and the pressure on the world stage. It goes to show that you didn't have any secondary thoughts about this, like you didn't have any planning to go into this, or you were just completely wrong on what you thought was going to be the outcome from your actions. Really, there's no other conclusion to come to.
Ukrainian forces also carried out a missile strike on the Belgorod region on the border with Ukraine overnight, damaging energy infrastructure, its governor Vyacheslav Gladkov said. Power, water, and heating supplies were disrupted, he said.
Good.
The attack underlined the growing capability of Ukraine's domestically developed and manufactured long-range drones. The Ukrainian drone blitz caught public attention in the Baltic states, which lie northwest of Ukraine and relatively close to potential Russian targets in the Leningrad region, which includes St. Petersburg, where drones came down. Officials in Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, which have been close allies of Ukraine in the war, said the drones likely didn't target them. Estonian media reported that a drone coming from Russia clipped a power plant's chimney early Wednesday, but said electricity
And I think there's
production
actually a
was
report out there to suggest that, I'm not sure if it's this specific one they were talking about, there was actually an errant Ukrainian drone that may have penetrated the airspace in that region as well. So again, like I said, I don't know if it's this specific one that they're talking about, but there was one of the reports out there where I think they kind of had to flip-flop and say that it was kind of an errant Ukrainian drone as well.
not disrupted. The plant is around 50 kilometers from the port of Ust-Luga that Ukraine targeted. Also Wednesday, the Latvian Defense Ministry said a drone had crashed in a region close to Russia. No injuries or damage were reported. Lithuanian officials said a stray Ukrainian drone crashed into a frozen lake near the Belarusian border on Monday.
Maybe that's the one that we're talking about. Maybe that's the one that I saw. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong on that one, though.
Moldova, on Ukraine's southwest border, authorities on Tuesday urged citizens to spare electrical energy during peak hours after Russian strikes on Ukraine's energy grid cut a key power line between Moldova and Romania. The Ukrainian drone strikes came a day after Russia fired almost 1,000 drones and 34 missiles at civilian areas of Ukraine in the space of 24 hours.
So again, as good as it is, as nice as it is to report on the Ukrainian successes, it's also very important that we continue to stay grounded and report on the facts on the ground and what's actually taking place. And unfortunately, we're still having to report on these mass attacks by Russia on the civilian infrastructure in different areas, obviously inside of Ukraine. Just something that they've lived with for quite some time now, and something that seemingly has been pushed to the kind of the back burner, kind of swept under the rug because of Donald Trump's undertakings in Iran, which again may be kind of a certain aspect of the plan, a certain aspect of the plot, which is again not to allow Zelensky, who's been doing a pretty good job of utilizing it and again getting his face out there. I think he had just signed a deal. Forgive me, I might get this wrong. Was it with the head of the UAE? If I do remember it being reported, about giving them intelligence and how to fight the the drone and missile threats and stuff like that. I know we've seen Zelensky come out and give the United States assistance as well. So again, doing whatever he can to make sure that, you know, he's staying involved, considering the connections and the relationship between Russia and Iran and what it means overall for them. You can see why, you know, he'd have considerable, you know, kind of reason to want to stay involved and continuously, obviously, have the you know, the media's attention continue to stay as much as possible on the people of Ukraine and on the plight of the Ukrainians over there, and, you know, to show the connections between these two wars.
Its usual nighttime barrage into daylight hours in one of its biggest aerial attacks.
We run out of time so fucking quick on these shows, man. I'm telling you. Yeah, I'm telling you. It's like, shit, how do you fill 2 hours? Dude, I could fill 2 hours in 2 seconds. You kidding me? All right, let's dive on to this one, because I'll only get you here for another few minutes, and then we'll get into thanking some people. So we'll only spend a couple minutes on this one, I promise. And this is the professor. Shout out to the professor. And this is Ukraine just hit 2 more ports, much farther than expected. So again, just kind of detailing some of the successes seen. I know we've done a little bit of digging into the front lines over the last couple of days. This is more along the lines of the long-range impacts, the long-range effects that the Ukrainians have had. And then we kind of obviously like to try to cover it all and to keep everybody as up to speed and up to date on what's been taking place. These are just a couple of the videos that I wanted to play. I think yesterday we brought it up on the show, but we ran out of time. So just to kind of detail these strikes here, this is the professor. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. And again, we'll go into a couple minutes of this, and then we'll start thanking people for their contributions. I appreciate you, everybody. Oh, geez, who's that? Who's that? I see you in there. Oh, thank you, David. Thank you so much, David. I see that. Your vote is your power. We can no longer afford to be apathetic. Absolutely, David. Thank you so much for that $50 contribution. Holy shit. Very much appreciate that. That's very, very nice of you. It goes a long way. And again, stick around to the end of the show. Anybody that I didn't get to already, I'll make sure to thank you after this. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much again, David. Appreciate that. All right, let's go.
So it is Wednesday, March 25th, 2026, and
What happened?
2 incredible
Didn't want to play?
long-range strikes last night from Ukraine into Russia. Their ability to target further and further has got to be unnerving for the Russians. Let's look at this. This is a map from Drone Bomber. Red arrows are strike UAVs. Blue arrows are jet UAVs. Green arrows are cruise missiles. And things are going out. Now, we don't see a lot about what's happening here or what's happening here in the news.
And again, those are detailing launches coming out of Ukraine and into Russia, again, with the different colors representing the different munitions used.
Focus on what was going on over on the far left over here. What are these things doing? Okay, Ukrainian Special Forces confirmed it struck a Novatech facilities at Ust-Luga port near St. Petersburg. That's way up in the northwest in Russia, hitting gas condensate fractionation and transshipment complex with 7 million tons of annual capacity. So this was a pretty good hit. Where is this? So if you're going from Ukraine and you're going up into here, it's going to be up here. There's actually 2 places that they hit up here.
Christ, how long is that? That's a fucking distance and a half, huh? Holy shit. Let me see if I can go to Google Earth real quick, because can't you do a measuring on the Google Earth? I'm just kind of curious. So from where to where? Let me see. I'll go to Ukraine. Welcome to Ukraine. We'll dive in here, show you this. So if we're talking about up in what region? He's talking about way up in here, right? Good God. So we'll put the ruler out. Let me see. I can do the ruler. We'll just go from, let's say, where did he go? In and around Kyiv, we'll say. Somewhere around here. And then we'll end... Where? We'll end Estonia, which is up here in this area. So about what? What's that say? That says 1,948.77 kilometers. Goddamn. Starts a strike and a half.
Is this Ust-Luga oil refinery, and another is a shipping facility.
Was I muted the whole time I was talking about that? Oh my goodness. One of these days, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to make it work. I promise. I don't know why all of a sudden, why would that happen on that screen? I know now on the show, not the time to figure it out, but I'm damn curious why the hell that would happen. That's not something that ever was going on before. So that's a new thing. So my apologies on that one. We'll get that one figured out quickly.
in Viborg, right near the Finland border. Okay, and St. Petersburg is out.
Oh, so easy network in the chat on YouTube there says nearly 1,200 miles. Appreciate the calculation there, my friend.
This direction. Okay. All right. So Ukrainian likely Aeropract 8.
You know, Pam, that's a great question because somebody else was saying that they didn't notice me muted at all the other day. So maybe it's just like a thing. It keeps showing me as muted on StreamYard every time I click on something on this screen for some reason. Maybe I'm not. I'm not sure. Everybody says they continue to hear me, so maybe it's just fucking with me at this point. So if I wasn't muted at all and I continue to repeat myself, my apologies. I probably just sound like a dummy and more of a dummy that way. All right, but thank you guys for keeping me up to speed on what's happening with the audio. All right, we got a couple more minutes, and then I'll get into thanking some people. But just to kind of detail these strikes here, this is a few more of the impacts, a few more of the locations in which Ukraine was able to strike. And again, this is from a day or two ago, so just to kind of keep you up to speed, just to, for further context.
Foxbat-based kamikaze drone was observed flying at ultra-low altitude over Russia's Leningrad region. That's what we were just talking about. I don't know what was doing the damage, whether they had some kind of jet drone or some, if it was just plain drones or Foxbat or what exactly it was. Okay, Russia's main oil and gas export facility of Ust-Luga on the Baltic Sea is having a rough morning.
And again, detailing this ongoing fucking action, this ongoing goal of the Ukrainians targeting the oil supply, targeting the oil refineries and the different aspects of transport. Again, they've kind of been able to do this at will. And again, this continues to show their effectiveness here on their, it says here, Russia's main oil and gas export facility of Ust-Luga on the Baltic Sea having a rough morning. And again, you can see the fires caused by the strikes there by the Ukrainians.
It burning here. And now, again, not all of it's burning, but you can see that that's not normal. Okay, a nearby worker films a massive.
I love the fucking, the dry humor. That's not normal. Not normal, you sure? At an oil and gas facility to see fucking, 70, 100-foot fireballs. You sure? I love the way you just kind of downplayed that real quick like that, as only the professor can.
Fireball coming from the direction of the oil facility. And you can see that here. Okay, facility.
And again, another thing that shows is it doesn't seem like the Russians are having a great job at denying people access of Telegram. I'm pretty sure that XL Nova is a Telegram channel. So again, this is just giving us different angles, to kind of, it doesn't allow the ability for the Russians to say, oh, it's propaganda or oh, it's AI. When again, their own citizens in the area continue to post these different angles of the strikes, the fires and such on places like Telegram, which is another reason why the Russians want to continue their, the communication blackout and to try to make sure that they can, consolidate the use of social media to the platform that they want to see the Russians use. Again, we continue to talk about how you can relate it to the, the Chinese government and wanting to know what you're seeing and viewing and watching and who you're talking to, what you're searching. That way they can have obviously better control over you as an autocratic society. But again, this is I'm pretty sure XL Nova is a Telegram channel. So obviously not having the success that they want to see as far as not allowing the evidence of the effectiveness of the Ukrainian strikes to get out over these social media platforms.
Direction of the oil facility. And you can see that here. Okay, facility processes stable gas condensate, a byproduct of oil and gas production, and exports petroleum products to international markets. So Putin is making a lot more money right now. I mean, time and a half the amount of money coming in or more because of what's going on in Iran. And
told you that, right? I mean, we've seen that reported in multiple outlets as well. Like I've continued to say, the Russians are laughing all the way to the fucking bank. And again, even if it's funding another day of war against Ukraine, that is fucking way too much, and is something that we should not ever being allowed Russia to afford that to happen. We should never create these circumstances in the world to allow that to happen because of the fucking the carelessness of our regime here in the United States. And again, the after effects, the retaliations that we've seen, and then having to tell Russia, yeah, go ahead, sell your oil. Let's make sure that now the price of oil is fucking twice as high as it was before this whole fucking shindig started, right? That way they're making even more per barrel. It's like this whole fucking thing was so poorly, if not planned at all, and it's so obvious to everybody, no matter who the fuck you're talking to, unless you're living in Donald Trump's anus and continue to defend everything that he's done and will continue to do. no matter what. Like everybody else is pretty, in lockstep with how dangerous this whole situation is, and exactly how we're being led by fools. But all right, let's just another second or two of this, and I'll get on to thanking some people. I thank you guys for sticking with me. I really do.
Maybe some of it's not going to be going out here. Okay, following the recent strikes in Primorsk, that was just a couple of days ago, Ukrainian drones targeted the ports of Vyborg and Ust-Luga today. Ust-Luga is Russia's largest Baltic port.
Handling over 100 million tons of cargo annually, including oil, natural gas, coal. Vyborg serves as a smaller but important regional export hub, together with Primorsk. These ports form a key part of Russia's Baltic export infrastructure, critical for energy shipments and sustaining the country's war economy. So again, all things that are good to see being impacted by the Ukrainian military there. And again, hopefully this is putting some sort of mitigation to the again, what we were just talking about, the recent uptick in profits the Russians have seen in because of what Donald Trump has undertaken in Iran. So if we can continue to strike these sites, if we can continue to, hurt and stop and dismantle and destroy these different key infrastructure points by the Russians, and hopefully we can make sure that that extra money that they're making because of Donald Trump is mitigated to some extent. If not, trying to outweigh those benefits given to Donald Trump by these strikes, by the damage caused to these different facilities and the transportation of and the sales of on the international market of their oil. So again, great job to see that the Ukrainians are still successfully targeting those sites the way that they are. Next show, we'll go into more of the frontline aspects and see kind of how those front lines have changed or not changed, who's winning, who's taking more territory. We've continued to see, let me just look at this real quick, because this is something that I'm curious. I want to continue to see if the Russian death toll, the Russian number of soldiers taken off the battlefield, is kind of staying up around the 1,200 mark. I know we saw that 1,710, I believe, was the highest one that we saw in the week of what looked to be the spring offensive kickoff for the Russians. Let me just see if I can pull up the Kyiv Independent here, because they typically post that around 4 a.m. So I'm looking about 12 hours ago. Yeah. Give me a second, see if I can pull this up. I'm just curious what the number was for today. I haven't seen it yet. Here it is right here. Share this tab instead. So right around 1,000. So you can see a little bit of a decline. And again, whether or not that's because of the Russians, taking a step back and trying to figure out some different tactics where they're not losing 2,000 soldiers off the battlefield every single day while seeing minimal to no successes or gains from it. So again, we're looking at about 1,000 as of March 27th in the last 24 hours. Again, another 9 armored vehicles, another fucking 217 vehicles and fuel tanks. Another tank was taken out, another 68 artillery systems, another 2,222 UAVs in a 24-hour period. Just goes to show you how many of those things are flying around out there. And another 2 MLRSs, which are extremely expensive to Russia, which again is going to be difficult for them to replace. So again, these numbers, as you can see, still up around 1,000 here, which is substantial, just again, not as substantial. Fuck, was I muted? That now you guys got to tell me there. It said I was just muted. Was I muted? Let me know. If you saw my lips moving but no noise coming out, you got to let me know if I was muted, because typically that's what it means to me to be muted, and it was telling me that I was muted. But again, let me know. Let me know in the chat. I'm dying to know. I'm dying to know. Yes, I was muted. Audio good? Fuck me. I never know what. Yes, you were muted. Okay, muted this time. All right. I knew it was. My apologies. Basically, I was talking about the death toll, obviously, in the Russians, and how it's kind of it's still around 1,000, but it's on the decline considering what we were seeing as far as numbers in days previous. And again, whether or not that's because of the Russians trying to take a step back and trying to refigure out their tactics, and now how not to lose 2,000 troops a day, that would be fantastic, I'm sure, as far as their soldiers are concerned. But again, whatever that decline is, whether or not they've taken a step back, or again, they've just kind of lessened their actions, we are still seeing at least 1,000 is still substantial, right? It's still 1,000 troops taken off the battlefield in a 24-hour period. And then again, I was going through the different list of, the armored vehicles taken out, the MLRSs. You can see that I think the number was 2,222 drones that were taken out in a 24-hour period, which is just goes to show you how many of them goddamn things are flying around out there in 24 hours to be able to eliminate that many. again, that gives a clear indication of how drone warfare has changed and how it's being utilized by a lot more out there. And yeah, what was the other one there? No, the MLRSs, which are incredibly expensive to Russia and very difficult to replace. So another thing we continue to talk about. All right, let's get into thanking some people here. I do appreciate you guys for sticking with me during the show. Thank you guys so much for your support. Thank you so much for your help in getting to this position. Let's get to 20,000 subscribers if we can. Different ways in which you can contribute via Venmo, quickest and easiest way. You can sign up for a YouTube membership just below me. You guys crack me up when you make me say that. And then you can sign up at patreon.com/BostonBrian for any one of the levels over there that floats your boat, that fits your fancy, or again, as your financial capabilities in there. So thank you again. You can head over to bostonbrian.com or the merch shop over there. There's a link. You can take a look at that. You can get a coffee mug. You can get a hat. You can get a t-shirt. Again, everything done in-house, for us, by us, and with us. No outside sponsors or help or backers or anything like that. So we're trying to do it the right way. You don't have to pay for the Substack. No content whatsoever. It's going to be charged to see. I'm not going to leave you guys out in the cold, and something's going to be shown on Patreon, and not everybody's going to be able to see. I don't like that shit. I think that's bougie, and I don't want anybody kind of missing out on content that's been here supporting the show for who knows how long at this point. I find that to be ridiculous. So again, it's hurtful. It's definitely not the most profitable way to do things, but I do think it's the right way to do things. So again, thank you guys to everybody that recognizes that, and again contributes to the show and kind of helps the make up the difference, as it were. So thank you so much to the people on Venmo. Let me see if I can get over to Venmo, and thank you guys over here. What is this? Why won't it let me get here? Nope, I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that. How do I get out of this? Oh, there you go. All right, so thank you so very much to the people over here, Thomas and Victoria. Thank you so much for your contributions, my friend over there. You guys have been fantastic. He says, nice jersey. Thank you so much. I think that was yesterday when I was wearing the socks. Shout out to Tom for the socks jersey that I had on. And then from the last couple of days, Jenny Faye, Yakov a couple times. Thank you so much, Yakov. Thank you so much to Garrett. Thank you so much to Peter. Thank you so much to Candy. Thank you so much to V. Sawyer for everything that you guys have been doing over there. Thank you so much to Tom. Thank you so much to Tanya. Thank you much to Jeffrey. I really do appreciate you guys and your help. Andrea, Moms, Maria, you guys have been fantastic. Michelle, Allison, there's a billion of you guys. So salute to everybody that's shouting out on the Venmo and reaching out over there. And let's get into thanking some people on the old YouTube side of things. Epstein Files, what's going on? Thank you so much for being a member for 1 month. Very much appreciate that. Again, for some reason, StreamYard doesn't like showing me emojis, but it looks like to be something Ukraine, which I do support and I do appreciate and I do second. So thank you so much, Epstein Files. Your I don't know what you call that. Your profile picture is pretty fantastic as well. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much for being here for a month. Thank you so much to Mary Ann Peck for becoming a new YouTube member. It's always nice to see new members of the community, and kind of means that we're reaching new people, and new people are finding kind of value in the show. So it's always a good sign to see. So Marianne, thank you so much. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. We got the No Kings tomorrow as well. So, make sure that you guys are checking out whatever's happening in your area. I know I'll be out in Boston tomorrow. So you guys, if you have anything happening around you, make sure you're staying safe. Again, we'll talk more about it after we get through the thank yous. But just saying thank you so much for the 5 gifted memberships there. Very much appreciate that. Thank you so much to Shockey for the £2. Thank you so much. Keep up the good work, Brian. Have a safe day tomorrow. I sure will. Thank you so much. Very much appreciated. And hopefully at some point I'll be able to kind of pop on to live, whether here or Instagram or wherever it may be. Hopefully we can get in touch with each other tomorrow, when we can kind of show you the scenes of what's taking place, whether it's at the rally, the gathering, or the the show afterwards. So appreciate you, Shockey. Thank you so much. We'll see if we can get together tomorrow as well. Thank you so much to Nina Rutro Shaggy. You crack me up with this one, Nina. Thank you so much for the 10. I really do appreciate it. Shout out to you. James O'Brien's been killing it the last few days. He's like I said, he's had a few clips go make the rounds. So thank you so much to you. Thank you so much to Corey. Very much appreciate that, Corey, for the $20 contribution. Very nice of you. Very nice to see that you're consistently in there, not only chatting away, but also, contributing to the channel. So thank you guys so much for everything that you guys do. That goes for David as well. Dave in here a couple times a few times. Wow, more than a few times. Holy shit, Dave. Thank you so much, dude. Dave started off with $10 here, saying, keep speaking truth to power. He followed that up with another $10. Apparently, we are freaking idiots. Thank you so much for that one. Then he followed up with another $10. Dum Dum should have been arrested January 6, 2021, which I absolutely concur with. I absolutely agree with. And then he followed that up with a $50 contribution. Your vote is power. We can no longer afford to be apathetic, which again is a great point. So thank you so much, David. I really do appreciate that. David Tope at 9595. Just a really amazing show of appreciation there. Really amazing show of generosity. So shout out to you. Salute to you, my friend. Hope you have a wonderful day. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. And then thank you to Turban London Peterson. Appreciate that. Giving me the 17 DKK. Let's go. I appreciate that. I always love some international viewers. Always love to hear where everybody's watching from if it's outside the old United States of America. So drop it in the chat if you are watching from somewhere outside of the U.S. Thank you so much to Torben for the 17 DKK. Very much appreciate that. Thank you so much to Yakov as well. We are making new signs today to put up at Boston Brian sent me on my sign. Let's go. Let's go. Let me see here. We are making new signs today, going to put at Boston Brian on my sign. Oh, that's going to be fucking fantastic. Let's go. If you guys do that, if anybody else does that, shout out to Yakov. Send me a picture or a video, right? Tag me on Blue Sky, wherever you guys post it, Instagram, wherever it may be. And we'll see if we can, link up, or I'll repost it. Obviously, leave a comment. Thank you guys, whatever it may be, whether it's like a kind of a subtle lobster, or if you're dressed as a lobster, or again, if you're just kind of putting some logos on there, wearing the merch, whatever it may be. I don't know if it's actually been enough time yet for anybody to have received it yet. But again, thank you to everybody heading over to the merch shop on bostonbrian.com and grabbing your coffee mug, your hats, your shirts, and all that good stuff. I really do appreciate it. So thank you, Yakov, for doing that. Let me know. Take a picture of it, and I'll be sure to kind of reshare that. So let me see here. Masha, oh, great to see you last night too, Masha. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was awesome to see you last night, and everybody else at the VIP Zoom, the VIP meetup that we have. We, anybody signed up at patreon.com gets access to the monthly Zooms that we have. We might be thinking about doing maybe like more of those, like weekly, to try to get more access, more benefits to the people that have been so supportive over at Patreon, to try to do a little bit more for you guys. Again, where we're trying to do it the right way. So we're trying to think outside the box of ways to kind of contribute and give back to you guys. So again, discounts on the merch. Maybe we'll ramp up how many Zooms that we do, and maybe we'll do them per group, or group per section. Excuse me, on the Patreon, whatever. So we can kind of have a little bit more opportunity to see whatever it may be. You guys give me some ideas, whatever you guys think might help or be good for you guys. I'm always open to different ideas. So thank you so much to Marsha. Great to see you last night. It was very, very, very fun for you guys to hang out. I always love to do that. So thank you to Marsha. Thank you to JD as well for the $2.99. My brother going right in the swear jar. As always, the JD swear jar. We're going to have to rename it at this point. So appreciate the super sticker, dude. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Hope you're having a great weekend. And then that goes for MK Mad Cat, rounding it out today. Let's go with the $20 contribution. You guys, and I love your pet pics. Make sure you give the old pup a treat for me. Make sure you give it a nice little belly rub for me as well. So MK, appreciate you. Thank you so much for that $20 contribution. Very generous, very appreciative of that. So hope you're having a wonderful day. Hope you have a wonderful weekend as well. And that goes for everybody else in the chat. You guys are fantastic. You know you are. I don't have to tell you guys twice. You guys know you're the shit. And don't let anybody else ever tell you any different. Okay, never. So all right, I'm Boston Brian again tomorrow. Make sure you guys are staying safe, okay? Make sure you guys have a plan. Hopefully you're going in with some people, if you're going in at all, to wherever you're going into. Make sure you know kind of the area, the surrounding areas. Make sure you know where kind of like the public spaces will be, the places that might be open late or early, depending on whatever time your kind of events are taking place. Like, make sure you're doing some sort of calculations just in case, make sure you're staying safe out there. I always say keep your head on a swivel. If you go with the group, make sure, everybody's watching each other's backs. You never know who's out there. You never know who's going to be trying to stir up shit. Hopefully everything goes out without a hitch. Hopefully, we have the overwhelming amount of people out there to kind of show not only this administration, not only this regime, but also the world, as I continue to say that, the United States isn't all the same. We're not all fucking degenerate losers like MAGA and Donald Trump. We don't agree with what's going on. We want change immediately, massive change, and that we're not going to fucking stand for this. So again, if that message can be sent loud and clear, the more people, the merrier out there. And again, just make sure you guys are being safe out there. I do appreciate you guys for spending your time here with me. And hopefully, like I said, we can go live tomorrow at some point. You guys can catch up on what's taking place in the festivities in Boston. Hopefully it's a big crowd out there. Hopefully we get some people out there active, aggressive, passionate, loud, and proud. So Let me know where you guys are. Let me know where you'll be at. Take some pictures, take some video, share it on social, and I'll be sure to check those out. So, again, I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you to the mods. You guys are absolutely fantastic at every turn. You've been fantastic, and you continue to be fantastic. The same way with the chat. You guys are unbelievable, and I can't thank you enough for everything that you do in support of this channel. Let's get to 20,000 subscribers by midterms. And it's only with your help that we're going to get there. So hit that subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button. I wonder if I say it like a billion times, if that would help in the algorithm. But all right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Tiff. Thank you, Webb. What's going on, brother? Thank you, Barbara. Appreciate you, Paps. Thank you so much, MK. Thank you, Mad Mac. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Luck Dragon. Thank you, Nina. Thank you, Wayno. Thank you, Bald Thanos. Good to see you, my brother. Thank you, James. Thank you so much to JP. I see you in there. Thank you to Bethany. Hi, Bethany. How are you? Thank you to Pam and everybody else. You guys are perfect. You guys are amazing. You guys are awesome. And I wouldn't be here without you. All right. I'm out of here. I've taken up too much of your time, and I will let you guys go. Thank you so much. Hit that like button on the way out if you didn't hit it on the way in. Again, I'm Boston Brian. If you're just joining us for the first time, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to give us a shot here. You know, it's more of a blue-collar podcast just made to sift through the bullshit, the propaganda of the mainstream media, and just kind of, you know, lay out the news in a way that's more digestible and easily, you know, kind of easy explained and kind of, you know, like your family and friends would discuss it as opposed to, you know, sitting in a classroom and being taught this shit. So, again, I hope we give people an outlet. I know it's not for everybody. I know it's a lot different than probably a lot of these other political podcasts or political live streams, whatever you want to call it. But again, I'm hoping that's what gives us our flavor, right? Who wants to be the fucking same as everybody else? That's fucking boring. All right, I'm out of here. I appreciate you guys. Thank you to the mods. Thank you to the best chat in the world. I'm Boston Brian. Hit that like button on the way out. Appreciate you.
Here's a thought. Grow a sack, fill it with some balls.
God bless the United States.
Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen.
The kidney has a very special place in the heart. It's an incredible thing.
We're inviting Americans from all across the country to come. To officially name the undisputed. When did this come out? The undisputed champion of beautiful, clean coal. Gettysburg, what an unbelievable battle that was. The Battle of Gettysburg, what an unbelievable. I mean, it was so much and so interesting and so vicious and horrible and so beautiful in so many different ways. It represented such a big portion of the success of this country. Gettysburg, wow. I go to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania to look and to watch. This week it was reported that an illegal alien, and you just look at this, what's happening.
Call them dumps, big massive dumps. Oh, get those lights off! Off! Turn them off, they're too bright, turn them off! Man, I ain't falling for no banana in my tailpipe.
Get off my plane. Yes, of course, hence the name. Movement, it moves a certain distance, then it stops, you see. A revolution gets its name by always coming back around in your face. You tried to kill me, you son of a bitch. So welcome to the revolution.
They call them dumps, big massive dumps. Army manned the air. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
Brian, you're drunk. You're drunk.
I'm just dead. I got a bowl of chocolate pudding in my underpants.
They call them dumps, big massive dumps.
You'll have a group of Venezuelan killers, street gangs, occupying the town with MK-47s. I know that gun very well. I got to know it very well. I've become an expert on guns.
All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. See if I can pop on live during the rally. Get out there, no kings, let's fucking go. Fuck ICE, fuck Donald Trump, fuck the rest of them.